What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the second part of the series with Shannon Poe. And oh, geez, all right, I guess I wants to play some more. All righty then.
Had to get a water.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Let's see here. I got a dual audio going here. Give me a second. All right. Welcome to the second part of the series with Shannon Poe and Jere Clements on how to file a mining claim. This is the second part of the series. Make sure if you guys have any questions, hits, runs, errors, concerns, that you save it for the end of the podcast. That way we can do the Q&A. With that being said, Shannon, you want to go ahead and take it from there, brother man?
Yes, sir. But let's start this up. Throw me up on that center screen there, Jared.
You got it, brother man.
So this is what it's all about, guys. I cut this morning on our little tiny rock saw.
Jesus, that is absolutely freaking phenomenal.
How's that for a little bit of gold and some rocks? Pretty cool. This was about the size of a bite-sized Snickers bar. And anyway, we're going to end up with a whole bunch of little slabs like that, which is just awesome. But that's what this is all about. So, guys, last week, if you joined us, you probably know that we covered really from start to finish of what it takes to file a mining claim, a legitimate, valid mining claim in the United States. And what we didn't go into last week was very specifically one of the most important things, and that is how to determine if the land is open for mineral entry. And there's really two ways to do that. And that is, one is the master title plat, which we're fortunate enough to have Jere, who is a master at the master title plat, as well as the BLM's MLRS system. But what I'd like to open up with and start on is really just to go through the process again, what all these different steps are. And by the way, guys, I've been roofing, and that's that black goo that you seal, around all the flashings and stuff. It never, ever comes off. That will be there for the remainder of my life, I'm quite certain. So, but anyway.
That's what it is.
I know. That stuff lasts beyond time itself. But so anyway, let's go through kind of what that is that you have to go through. And we'll just go through the steps without explaining them all again. So Jere and Jaron and I want to file a mining claim, and we've got a pretty good area that we want to do it at. It's in, let's say, Mariposa County, California.
No, it's going to be in Tuolumne County, Shannon. It's going to be on the South Fork of the Stanislaus.
Okay, well then Jerry's already found us a claim.
He knows where he wants it.
So anyway, so it's in Tuolumne County, California, on the South Fork of the Stanislaus. And the very first thing that we need to do is to determine whether or not that land in question that we want to mine is open for mineral entry. And that's a kind of a federal term that they use. It has to be open for mineral entry as far as the mining acts go. So it has to be either administered by the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, or the United States Forest Service, USFS. And there are some other examples, state lands and things like that. But for the sake of argument, we have to determine whether or not that land is open for mineral entry. So then you go through the process that we're going to show you here in a few minutes and determine. So let's say, for sake of argument, that we got Jere that jumped on the internet and he has looked this up in the master title plat. He's looked up at MLRS. There is land in that's open for mineral entry, and there are no existing claims to the best of his ability to determine that. So then the next step is you actually go out to the claim or to the ground, and you mine it, you prospect it, and you either make a valuable mineral discovery or you don't. And if you don't, then there's no sense in claiming the ground if you're not going to make any money on it. So once you prospect that and you find, okay, behind this giant boulder or whatever, that you found some decent gold, then you're going to put up some form of a monument, whether that means a pyramidal type of stacked rock or a post or whatever type of thing that you put up. We encourage you to take a picture of that with a date stamp so you can prove, hey, this is when I made my valuable mineral discovery and what it looks like. So if you end up with somebody that tries to top file you or something later on, then you can prove that you were there first. So then the next step that you're going to do is you're going to take and you will fill out the paperwork, which Jerry's going to go through as well tonight, of that actual claim and the boundaries and how big it is and the description of where that's at. And so whether it be 20, 40, 60, 80, whatever, however many acres in size your claim is going to be, you have to have one signature, meaning a Jerry or a Jaren or myself, for each 20 acres. So we're thinking of a 60-acre claim. There's 3 of us, so that's 1 per 20, and it makes it completely legitimate and valid. So then you fill out your paperwork. You fill that out in blue ink, not black, but blue ink, which is what they call live ink. And the signatures have to be in blue ink. And then we recommend that you take and you make 2 identical copies of that. So you have 2 blank claim forms, and it's only 2 pages. Well, 3 counting the map that you're going to include with it. So that's all that you have is those 3 pages, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. We always write that at bottom, but you do what's called a conformed copy. And that is, you got 3 papers and 3 papers. All of this is identical. So when you go to the county, if they don't have a recordation system where you hand them the documents, they stamp it, you pay them your money, and they give it back to you to where you can actually walk out of the recorder's office with something tangible in your hand. That's where the conformed copy comes in. So they'll stamp both of those. You leave one with them, and you walk away with one that is stamped. Then that needs to be either taken or mailed to the BLM office in your area, whichever one is over the area that you're filing it in. And in this particular case, that's in Sacramento on Cottage Way. So then you take that paperwork to the BLM and you pay them, and it's about, what did you say, Jerry? $200 to
212
acres, roughly.
212 is for a 20-acre claim.
So, but anyway, so you just figure roughly about 200 plus bucks, and you're going to end up some recording costs and things like that in the county itself. And then, of course, because of SB1 here in California, because it's a property transaction and they recognize mining claims as real property, then you pay their little extortion. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? You pay their little tax fee of $75 per document in the state of California to record property transactions, which is, anyway, it's absurd. But, you have to do it because it's passed by law and until we can reverse it. So anyway, so then you give that to the BLM, you pay your money, you name the claim Nugget, and Jerry didn't, he's chuckling.
No, I got it.
Jerry's dog's name is Nugget. So anyway, so now we have a 60-acre claim named Nugget, and it's been recorded in the county. It's been filed in the BLM. Now you go back to the claim and you actually put up all your corner posts. It's not necessary. It's not a legal requirement to have 4 corner markers on a placer claim. We recommend you do it anyway because those markers then determine where your claim boundaries are. You can still, it's going to be in the description, and I know, Jerry, you want to jump in here. But we're just trying to bust through this really quickly. So, and then, put up a claim sign, put up a marker, put up a 4-foot post with the mining claim number and all of that information on it. And then the mining claim is basically filed. And so it was kind of ironic is right when we were getting ready to go live on here, I got a call from a buddy of mine down in Arizona who just filed a claim a couple of months ago. And it was in October in Arizona. And anyway, he is leasing the claim to a small mining company down there. And anyway, the mining company contacted the BLM just to make sure that the claim was legit and all that. And they said, well, the claim has been is filed, but it's not active. And we talked about this last week. Is the BLM here in California, they're 7 years behind in doing their data entry and in doing their land status check. So I know this guy personally, way down in Arizona, and he's filed a ton of mining claims. He really knows what he's doing, and he couldn't understand that. And I said, well, Wade, it's because the BLM over the last couple of years, in every single state that they administer mining claims, which is 19, they're behind up to 7 years, like California. Arizona, I think it was 9 months they were behind the last time Jerry and I checked. Oregon and Washington are well behind. I think probably like a year. So just because it says that it's been filed doesn't give it that what they call an active status. And an active status means that they've checked the land status. It's not been withdrawn or all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't negate the fact that he can still go out and mine that. What was ironic about this, when Wade told me, is that the BLM actually told him that he couldn't mine it until it was actually an active status. Which is utter BS. That is just absolutely false. So Wade's like, oh, you're right. I called them back and I straightened that out. It was some new person or whatever. So my goodness, it's crazy the amount of misinformation out there. So, gee, maybe we should ask Mr. Biden to censor everything because of that misinformation. Anyway, so that's the process that you have to go through in order to file a mining claim. But by far, guys, the hardest thing to do is to check land status. And it kind of goes back to really the early 2010s when Mr. Obama was in office. He changed a lot of things, and the things changed in the BLM. It used to be really easy. You could just go to a website and click on it, and there was a topography map, and it gave you gray grid lines and pink grid lines. And pink meant there was a mining claim there. Gray meant it was mineral. It was open to mineral entry, and you could file on it. It was literally that simple. And all of that got changed under the Obama administration, as well as the cost went from $200 basically for any size claim all the way up to now it's $1,400 for 160 acre claim. So that's the process. And so I guess without really further ado, we're going to have Jerry show you how you research the master title plat. But before we do that, Jerry, would you explain to everybody what the master title plat is and what kind of information it provides?
Yeah, the master title plat is kind of like the assessor's map that you'd find in county, except for it's maintained by the BLM, and it's it is a status of the pretty much every federal land there is. What sections are national parks? What are Forest Service? What are just private? They even have private property designated on it. So. Yeah, it's just kind of it's an ongoing, basically assessor's map, telling what properties are what.
So what that does is it disseminates out what private property is, what federally managed lands are, what state lands are, all of that information.
Right. Yep. Then there's a bazillion designations, as you can imagine. Easements, railroads, roads, you name it.
Okay, well let's see what. So if I was somebody looking to research on the master title plat, what do I enter into the computer?
Well, the first thing you
search, what do I enter in?
Yeah, well, the first thing you need to determine is what township and range in it is it, And if you're not familiar with township and range, that actually one of the easiest places to find the area that you're at is on the new, believe it or not, the new MLRS system. And let me click on this here. This is the MLRS page. If you do this is the new MLRS system website. And if you just search for this, it comes up readily. You'll be able to find it easy. You don't have to log in or register to get the township and range. So if you go here, it brings up their fancy new map that's actually very similar to the geo communicator. This is what it looks like. I'm just going to start zooming in the area that we're looking at on the South Fork of the Stanislaus. Where are we? Oakhurst, Mariposa. So here's Sonora.
Hey, Angels Camp.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the township and ranges just came in. These, if you're familiar with the old geo communicator, this is going to look really familiar to you. And those are mining claims, or I should rephrase that. There are sections that have mining claims in them. So let me just continue to zoom in on the area we're looking at here.
So let me stop you there too, Jerry, because zoom back out just a little bit on that.
Okay.
When I first came to California, now I grew up in Oregon and I got into mining up in Oregon, but when I came to California, I didn't really know anything about it. I knew there was a lot of gold here, but and it does remind me very much of the old geo communicator system. And so I looked in my neck of the woods of where I lived at a map just like this, because what that shows, if there's mining claims, in section after section after section after section, that tells you that it's at one time, or still is, a very rich mining section for gold. And so that's where I focused all of my attention on. So as a precursor to actually going out, this is a pretty good little research tool that folks could use to go, okay, hey, good golly, look at that. The South Fork of the Stanislaus has got a whole lot of activity on it. I need to see if there's anything available there.
Right. So as you can see, these squares here, come on, refresh. There we go. This is the township and range we're going to be looking in. You can see this board. Hopefully you can see my handprint here. I can't see it on my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Oh, good. Okay. So we're looking at the township and range is 3 and 15 east, 3 north, 15 east. Let me just zoom in and see what section we're looking at. There's Italian Bar Road, and it's over. Oh, I'm in the wrong side of it. It's down here. Here we go. Let me take the wrong one. If I can get the right one on layer, I want to decrease the opacity of it so we can see the map a little better. All right. So here's the South Fork of the Stanislaus River, and we're looking at this area right in here. So that's section 32, and it's 3 north, 15 east. So we're going to go to the master title plats. I'm trying to figure out how to send you there. Let's just do a Google search for master BLM master title plat and enter. Let's see. Okay, the Glow Records. That's a good start. That's where you'll find it. So at the Glow Records search, you end up with this. Can you see this document search?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to go there. and you're going to search documents. Now, the master title plats are under the LSR. So click the LSR tab.
What does that stand for?
Land status.
Records.
Yep. So California, we don't have to do the county. The township was, what was it, 3 South? If I remember right.
3 North, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it was.
3 South is Bull Creek, bro.
Yes, it is. 3 North, 15 East, and it's the Mount Diablo Meridian.
Yes, and that's something that we need to actually stop just for a second on. The Mount Diablo Meridian is huge. Doesn't that like encompass about half of the West?
It's most of California.
Mostly California.
Nevada. I believe it goes into Nevada, and I think the north is around the border in Northern California.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. So we're going to go master title plat.
How, Jerry? Because I know that somebody's going to struggle with that. So how do they determine? Let's say that I'm going to research outside of Wickenburg, Arizona. How do I determine what meridian that is? Well, I can actually answer that because I had to do that specifically for that area in Arizona. You can do a Google search on meridian map for the United States. You can just type that in, and it actually will pull up a map of all the different meridians. And so then that's actually how you can find it. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to search for that master title plat. It comes right up. It's Tuolumne in Calaveras County. Click, open it up. And please load. The BLM, just a warning, BLM is not the quickest websites in the world. Now, I use this. If you could see down the bottom right here, there's a PDF. It's generating a PDF for me. They're much easier to navigate and look at than this little screen.
Plus, you can make it full screen.
Right. So let that load. I've had a lot of problems over the years with these PDFs generating. They're whatever system the BLM uses to generate them. It's really a crapshoot on if it's going to work or not. Let's zoom in here just for curiosity. No, it's not going to let me until it loads.
Oh, there we go.
That's okay. So what section were we in? Were we in 32, I believe? Okay. So if you remember from the map here, we were looking in section 32 in this area here. That's section 32 right there. And you see it's quite busy. Okay, now let me load the PDF now that it came through. This will be easier to navigate. Okay, there it is. So there's our township 3 North, 15 East of the Mount Diablo. And we're concerned with this section 32. We want to claim in there somewhere. So first thing you need to do with these master title plats is to go to the right-hand side. And let me zoom in a little. And read this, this right-hand section over here. So pretty much it says all typical, including in withdrawn Stanislaus National Forest Proclamation 778. In other words, Proclamation 778 is what made this a national forest, and that's most of the area within this plat is within the Stanislaus National Forest. You also have a PL 167. That's a public law, was completed in 1960. That had to do with all national forests done by this the surface management of all this national forest is managed by the Forest Service. Those two are real typical of national forest sections. That's a lease that's no longer active. I'm just saying because I've seen it enough to know that whatever. This one's a little curious because it actually names some. It excludes some areas that the surface manages not by Forest Service, and what they are, they're mining claims. Indian Grove, Grisby number 2, Strasburg 3-4. These are in. You could see the sections 14 and 23. Anyway, so we're not concerned about anything over here, with the exception of most of it's national forest, which is good news for us. Now, you could see section 22 here is just got a thin line around it. That's got no other designation. That's national forest only. And then you got all these other blocks and dotted lines and sections. Let's go down to the one we're looking at here. Section 32. You have a dotted line. Dotted lines or warning sign. Dotted lines basically mean withdrawals. And that means withdrawn from mineral entry, typically. We'll get into that in a minute. You can see this section right here in section 31 is got a solid line around it with a number in it. Most of these numbers are associated. Here's this one in 28 say have D and C. This is a patented piece of property, and all the rights within that were conveyed to a private owner, including the ditches and canals. So the person that has this patented mining claim owns the ditches and canals as well.
So that can I jump in?
You bet.
Jared? So
You bet.
in section 33, there's that solid big square. What's 1988? I think it's what it says.
1988. That's correct. That's a document number.
The LDMA mining camp down there.
That's exactly right. That's a piece of property, private property, and since we're all familiar, since we're all familiar with that area, that's the Lost Dutchman's mining camp. You also see this with an MS. That's a mineral survey. It's also got the ditches and canals. The MS the patent numbers. It's also got the patent numbers in it. So that's a piece of private property as well. That was a mining claim that they have a record of a mineral survey being done on it. That's all the MS means. So if you look at this area in section 32 with the dotted line around it, it says PLO, Public Law 4329, withdrawn Forest Service, rec area. So can you file a mining claim in a rec area? Yep. Absolutely not. Maybe I should pull up that that withdrawal. If you do a lot of research, you can find a lot of these documents.
Before you pull that up, Jerry.
Yes.
For those that weren't on the show last week, is what we're referring to, and the reason why he picked that specific spot on the Stanislaus is that is the Italian bar disaster that we keep referring to and that we've been working on for about 8 months.
Right.
Where there's a group of unsavory folks, in my opinion, that have gone down there and they have put up claim signs, and they actually went down and paid BLM. BLM took their money, and they tried to file mining claims on that withdrawn rec area. And then they started running the public off and threatening them physically if they went down there and actually tried to enjoy their publicly withdrawn designated recreation area that was passed by Congress in 1952. We're trying to get these people out of there and return the area back to the public as a rec area. And so, and I've got, well, at the end of tonight, Jaren, remind me, because I have some really big news about that. I called the guy that filed those mining claims yesterday, had a half-hour conversation with him. So we'll break that news tonight on your show. And we're going to actually go live with that tomorrow on the AMRA page as well. But so that's what he is referring to on this withdrawal. So go ahead and pull it up, Jerry. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I don't have it readily available, so maybe we'll skip that.
Well, it was an act of Congress that was passed federally in Washington, D.C. in 1952 that they established that, what is that, 120 acres? Something like that, as a designated public recreation area. Therefore, the land was withdrawn from mineral entry, and it is now prohibited and illegal to file a mining claim on that.
Right. See here, if you see this, here's another one. This is withdrawn as well. Up in section 29, there's a section that you can't file a mining claim in, and it goes right around the old claims in private properties. But I guess in short, for the master title plat, you want to find an area that's like the rest of section 33 is wide open. Section 27, wide open. That means it's all open for mineral entry. You can't file within one of these dark squares because that's private property. You can't file within dotted lines because there's with rare exception. And that's a real Reader's Digest version of the master title plats.
Hey, Jerry, I kind of had a question that I'm sure some other folks would mind asking. How updated, and obviously it varies, but how updated is the plats? How updated are they?
They're actually pretty good, and I don't know how they accomplish that. I haven't run into an area that I know is closed and the master title plat doesn't show it, or private properties that that aren't on the master title plat. It must be done by a different
outsourced,
different outsource. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if they use survey, because this was all done by hand back in the day, right? And the original plats for your counties and whatnot were all done by hand by field surveyors, basically. So
Jerry, with that being said, can we go through the quick process once again for everybody watching how to access the plats? Just
sure. You want to
run through?
Before we get there, I just had somebody text me a message. That's a pretty good question, and that is, so on that PLO 40, I can't read it there on that screen, 4329. So yes. If you went to Google and you just typed that PLO 4329 in the internet, would you find that?
It's a real crapshoot, because you can go to, let's see if I go back to, where do I want to, I don't want to go there. Let me open a new master title plat search, and you can find them. Okay, land status search, master title. There. Okay, related documents. You can find them in here sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, but the numbers never seem to jive, and it's a real chore to go through all these and see now these two items. These have
documents.
They have images with them, so you can see them. it does get quite creative to try to find some of these, like the mineral surveys. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. But let's go back to here. Yeah. Do you recall the number? What was the number on that one again?
PL 4329. PLO 4329.
And that's going to be patent. So you got patents, you got secretarial orders, USGS orders. They all have these strange
Wow.
document numbers, and they're not all.
But they don't give you a search function to where you could just type that in.
Well, they do, but I have yet to figure it out. It's in the same search documents here. Yeah. If you go to the search,
do a search here.
Yeah, I believe I found that one on just a Google search. If you can figure out their document numbers, system and survey numbers in this bottom section, I believe you can find it, but it ain't easy. It takes quite a bit of determination to actually find it. I end up looking in these lists more than anything, in the related document list.
I got an ad for bras. So
well, you do got some brown stuff on your hands, so who knows? I mean, anything flies with you, Shannon.
Public land orders. So
yeah,
there's a federal registry here that you can actually click on, it looks like. And so you could, in answer to your question, Mike, who texted me, it looks like you can. It's going to take a little bit of work.
Yes.
Nothing like the government making it as hard as they can.
So I got a question here really quick. Quick question. If land is withdrawn from mineral entry, does that mean we can't even dip a pan in the water?
Not necessarily. It means that the land has been withdrawn from filing a claim on it. In this particular case, that actual withdrawal was withdrawn for that specific reason, to designate it as a public recreation and mining area. And so it was really designed to create, and so somebody like you could take your kids down there and teach them how to pan and poke around, and find a few flakes and stuff like that. So, it just means that you can't file a mining claim on it.
Yep.
So we have another question here that I wanted to pop up. I know we're doing Q&A at the end, but since we're on the subject, we have one here from Facebook. It says, I have owned land in Nevada for 14 years now. How do I file for the mineral rights in Humboldt County? I read about 3 years ago that the landowner can file for the mineral rights if the person and a company did not do anything in the past 10 years. The property owner can now file. Can you help me on this?
Jerry?
That's going to be a county issue. And I would have to, it sounds like he's got a piece of private property is what it sounds like, where the minerals are in question. I would almost guarantee that the government didn't retain them. It got passed down to somebody, and that would be in your deed. Who owns the mineral rights? My piece of property right where I am now, we have a split on mineral rights. There's an oil field not too far from here, and one of the previous owners of the property retained, I think it was 20% of the mineral rights. So it's a private property issue. It has nothing to do with a BLM or federal government or filing mining claims. You'd have to research that through the county.
Wow.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jared, because we've dealt with this before. People are under the assumption if they go out and they buy 10 acres of land and they build a house on it, that they automatically own the mineral rights. And that's just simply not the case. Inside those deeds, which is your document of true ownership, it will disseminate what you have and what you don't. And a lot of times people find out that they don't actually own the mineral. I shouldn't say a lot of times, sometimes.
That blows my mind.
Mineral rights.
That completely blows my mind. I mean, you know, when you sit back and think of it, you know, most people, they pay a hefty price for their house and their land, you know, and you know, obviously, you know, I don't know the whole situation with when you go to purchase the house, with what's in the documents, what's not in the documents. You know, it just blows my mind that you could think that you could go and purchase a piece of property and, you know, you don't own full 100% of the mineral rights on your own piece of land.
You know, another thing I want people to think about is this, and that when you get into, let's just take, for example, the South Mother Lode of California, incredibly rich. And I mean, from the Sacramento all the way down to Bakersfield, there's gold. All through the foothills, and it goes all the way up into 4,000, sometimes even higher in elevation. And so back in the gold rush era and stuff, you know, they found gold in almost all the dang creeks. And as the mining grants were passed in the 1860s and 1870s, and really to give the miners rights, well, that expanded into the property rights that we've discussed quite a bit. And then the government came out and you got these patented processes to where a lot of the properties that you see, especially in the Mother Lode of California, those were originally patented pieces of property. And then they subdivide them and subdivide them and subdivide them, and you get down to 3 acres or 5 acres. Well, that was originally part of a much larger parcel. And, you know, there may be documents that go all the way back to 1920 that some family somewhere still has the mineral rights to all of that stuff. So, but I wanted people to understand that a lot of the properties that we see, especially in Tuolumne County, Mariposa, Sierra, Placer, these other counties that were really almost the entire county was mineral rich. Those were a lot of those properties, the private properties nowadays, were originally patented mining claims.
That's right.
So with that being said, to go back to the question at hand, so, you know, what would be the first process? Contacting county, you know, going to maybe the courthouse, you know, what would be the next steps to figure, you know, that question out? Where would you go? What would you do?
County, and pull every single record on the property that there is since it was originally formed.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And then, see, you'd have to read through those documents and determine whether or not the mineral rights were ever relinquished or transferred or sold, or, you know, whatever legal process happened that, you know, and if it's and I don't know the laws in Nevada, I can't quote that. He would probably need to consult with an attorney. If nobody does anything with the mineral rights for 10 years, I don't know if that means that you relinquish the mineral rights.
Right.
I don't, that doesn't sound right to me, but I mean, hell, I don't know. And so, but I would start at the county and pull all the documents, and from the beginning of man to today, and see if you can see any references to that. Is that what you do, Jere?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It might be a good real estate attorneys would be able to answer that relatively quickly.
Yeah, no, definitely. With that being said, Jere, so if we've found the piece of land that we want to stake a claim on, we've already established to get on the MLRS, you know, the master title plats, all that good stuff. What would be the next step now that you know that this piece of land is open, you're ready to get, some filing done, on the MLRS website? What would be the next, to be able to start filing? Now you know your township, everything like that. What would be your next process?
Right. Well, the next, and actually, I consider it the hardest part, is figuring out if anybody else has filed claims in there. Just because you've looked at the master title plat and see that the area is open for mineral entry, that only means that anybody and their brother in 100 years could have filed a mining claim there. So we're back on the MLRS page. I'm going to go to a topo map. Hopefully it's clearer. There we go. So this map happens to shade the private properties, and it even says Italian bar, if you can see it up here, which is nice. This is, you could conceivably do a bunch of the research on this new mapping system they have. I don't use it. I use their reports page. So I'll just quickly show you how you can access some of that stuff here. I'm going to increase the opacity so you can see it. So these areas, so section 32 here, you can see this, and these shaded areas with the cross hatching means that there's claims in there. So we were looking at section 32 here. Let's just go to if you can see I'm going up here to the identify button and clicking it. Now I'm clicking on section 32. And it is telling me that there are, can you see this? 12 items about this section they have records on. Okay, the first one is just Township 3 North, Range 15 East, section 32. The next item is a case name, Stan. It's a mining claim. Your CAMC number. And it's in this blue section here somewhere. It's 40 acres. Well, this blue section here, that's 160 acres. So 40 acres of that 160 acres is a claim. Where in there? We don't know. And that's the tough part to determine. If you could see this northwest section of 32 has got no cross hatching in it, that's a pretty good sign that there's no claims in there, at least none that the BLM have recorded yet. There could be new claims in there. We've talked endlessly about how behind the BLM is. There could be one that's filed 2 years ago and it's not showing up in here. So that's the real challenge these days, is finding out where the claims are.
So let me jump right in here on that, Jerry. So if you really truly wanted to determine where this claim named Stan is, and we know exactly where it is personally, but if for the listeners here, if they wanted to determine where that is, they would either need to contact the BLM, and you can give them that California mining claim serial number right there.
That's correct.
If you can ever get them to answer their damn phone, or you leave them a message if you can ever even get them to call you back, and you could give them that number and your email address, and sometimes they will actually PDF you the mining claim, correct?
That's correct. They certainly will. And they've actually done a little bit better with COVID, because they didn't want anybody in their offices. So they actually, because you couldn't go in and pull a file, so they actually got back to you. Again, I want to caution you with the information you find here, because look at this: case disposition filed. Remember that. We're going to pull this. We're going to pull this claim up again, and just remember what this says here. It says it's in the filed status. So what I use, so like I said, you can get to some of this information from here. I find it very cumbersome. So what I use is their reporting web page, and you can find this. what you'll end up doing is you'll end up searching for LR 2000, and you're gonna end up with and let me just go to that. Let me go back to Google and just going to search LR 2000. Okay, so there it is. This is the old LR 2000 that everybody used to be stuck using, and to get the MLRS reports, you go up here just find the MLRS. So now we're in MLRS system, and we're going to run a report. Let's run a geologic index report.
Geographic.
Is that what I said?
You said geologic.
Yeah, I might have said that.
One of the two.
I was going to say, they give us the geology. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to this reporting set is very particular. If you get one digit wrong, one space, 1 0, you come up with no results. So this is a little bit challenging to use, but case distribution. Now this is changed as well. And ideally you'd want to say, well, I just want to see the active claims, but they've got their status is so screwed up. You got to get the active, the appeals. I'm going to skip the closed claims. If they're closed, I don't care about them. Draft, deleted, on appeal, pending, submitted, under review, insufficient. I want everything except for closed.
So let me dive in here and just say this. So because we're dealing with California for the sake of this this series here, we already know California is over 7 years behind in their data entry. And like we had mentioned last week, I've got a mining claim, a personal mining claim that I filed in 2014. We already know it's completely open to mineral entry. It's a valid claim. I've done everything, and I paid property taxes every single year for 8 years on this damn mining claim, but it's still showing only as filed. It doesn't show active. So that's why he was cautioning you to not rely on their data entry system. I mean, good golly, folks, it takes 5 minutes for the BLM to actually go and check the land status and go, yeah, it's okay. They haven't done that for over 7 years. So that's the real challenge. And without getting really deep into the weeds like we did last week on that is, man, that's got to open up the BLM to some massive civil liabilities, because if I've been paying property taxes on this damn claim for 8 years and then they all of a sudden come and invalidate it, I want my damn money back. And as far as I'm concerned, the BLM owes me that money, because they should have been able to tell me that within a week after I filed the mining claim. That's what we give this agency billions of dollars to do, and they're not doing a damn thing. And so this really pisses me off, as you can tell. That's something that we're going to actively, when we can get a political shift back in Washington, D.C. that's got some freaking common sense, we're going to drive this machine right through the butt of BLM and fix this crap, because you know what? This is just ridiculous. These people, whoever's in charge of this crap, needs to be fired, and they need to lose their pension, and they need to never work in public office again. I mean, they just, for crying out loud, if you couldn't do your job for 7 years, wouldn't you be fired?
Right.
Well, yeah, if you were in the public, in a private business, but good God, man, these people are protected. So anyway, just there's my little rant for the day. But so take Jerry's advice here and use a little caution when you see that. Don't automatically assume that the claim is, it may not be good or whatever. That's just simply not true. It means somebody has submitted some paperwork on the claim, and BLM, as usual, just hasn't done crap about it.
Right.
Right. So I filled out the Meridian Township and Range here, and it's got to be, if you can see this, it's got to be in that format. The Meridian is a 2-digit. The range and Township and Range is a 4-digit number, and the section is 32.
And you have to have those space exactly correct, or you get nothing, right?
That's correct. So here's the report that it kicks out. So now this just seems to be much more user friendly to me. You got a list of
we're
all.
losing your camera there, Jerry. It's just all.
Yeah, try to put your hand in front of the camera there. Just put your hand in front of it for it to resume.
No.
Mm-hmm. Pay attention, camera. Come on. What? Wow. It's not cooperating at all, is it?
Oh,
there we go. There we go.
I'm way closer, but it might help, it might not. But okay.
That's really good.
Okay. So this kicks out this report here. I find them much more user friendly because you actually have a list with the claim names and the types and who the claimant, who's claimed them, their location date. It has much more information. The quadrant it's in. So these are all in the southwest quadrant of section 32 because that's the parameters we set. So now you can see here's the claim that we knew was in there, which was called Stan. You can pull. Yes.
That's our IBAR claim, and it's showing that it's under review, and we filed that in 2015.
That's correct.
That is 7 years ago we filed that.
Well,
it's still listed as under review.
And that's correct.
That's insane.
Why are these under review? They're not even in the filed status. They're under what? There we go. It's pulling up the report I clicked on.
Wow.
Yeah, that's mind blowing right there.
Yeah, that the IBAR is our claim that we filed how many years ago, Shannon?
March of 2015.
Jeez.
So here's that Stan claim. And the case, remember I told you to look at the case, make note of the case disposition. It said it was in the filed status on the other website. In the actual record in MLRS, it's under review.
Wow.
So they can't even get that right.
You know what's interesting about that, Jerry, is you look at the date on that is August 12th of last year.
Right.
When I went public with the whole IBAR crap was about 2 weeks prior to that.
Right.
So BLM must have seen, somebody probably sent them our video.
Yes.
And they went, hey, we may
need
to take a look at this. And so that's why they did that.
This is the interesting one to me, Shannon. Look at the date of this entry. 9/1/2021. Decision notice issued. Null and void. NNV, that's right. Null and void. But if it's null and void, why is it under review?
Oh my God. Talk about inept.
Wow.
So what I do with the with this list in the section that I'm looking at, I'll take this and bring it to county. And now you have some information to search at county for these claims. So the ones I'd be really looking for to get the paperwork on from the county are these claims down here. You can, a lot of times you can search the county by date, or actually some of the counties you can search by township range section. And the staff at the county are typically fairly good about helping you out. They won't stay with you all day, but if they get you started in the right direction, then you can start finding some of these records yourself. And that's the only reliable way to figure out what claims
this is
are
crazy.
In an area.
Because if you look at the next payment due date column off to the right there, it's saying that all of those claims in there, the next payment date is on 9/1. that must be some type of an autofill, because
Yes,
if the claim is null and void, there's going to be no payment required.
that's correct. Yeah, no, this is an autofill form. So, yeah.
You guys need to just vote me in as the president of the Bureau of Land Management, and I'll fix this crap.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. It's like, you know, if you're paying, you know, there's tons of like subscription boxes and all sorts of subscriptions out there. Imagine paying a specific fee for a subscription and not getting anything at your door, right. Not getting thing, you know what I mean? And you're like, what am I paying for? If I'm paying every single month or every year and I'm not getting anything, you would quit, right? You'd quit paying. You wouldn't pay anymore.
Right.
So why are they still accepting the dues and not getting anything done? That's what blows my mind.
Well, it boils down to there's nobody actually assigned to be responsible for, you know, the data entry employees go in and they work their day, whether they work hard or work not, I don't know, but their boss isn't responsible for making sure that the stuff is updated in a timely fashion, and his boss doesn't hold him account. It's a whole bureaucracy that's unaccountable.
Shannon Poe for BLM President 2022. Make sure you guys get your vote in.
So I guess we'll bring this up, and we probably won't put this in the video when we edit this whole thing out, but I'll bring it up again. So last year or 2 years ago, Jere's wife, Connie, who is our COO of AMRA, she came up with a phenomenal idea, and that is to create a bill and introduce it to Congress at the federal level that fixes things like this. So when the Veterans Administration was really being mismanaged prior to when Trump took office, the Republicans came forward and they passed a bill, a bipartisan bill, actually, it wasn't just the Republicans, that basically, if you work for the VA and you mistreat the veterans, or you work outside the scope and course of your employment, you're freaking fired and you lose your pension and you can never, work in the public sector again. And it passed, and they fired over 8,000 employees in the first year. And I think that that's phenomenal. And it completely returned the VA around. And now it actually seems to work pretty well. So what Connie did is she took that Veterans Administration Act, Accountability Act, and we rewrote that for the BLM and for the Forest Service. So the same thing is and this kind of stuff that we're seeing right here live on the screen, and this complete and utter mismanagement in 7 years of doing absolutely nothing, whoever's in charge of that needs to be fired, and they never need to work in the frickin' BLM again.
Big time.
So right before we were flying to DC, 3 days before we were to leave, is when Nancy Pelosi shut down all travel to DC, and then shut down the House until after the election, the presidential election. And of course, here we are a year and a half later, and we still have that bill. And guys, as God is our witness, if we can get back to some sanity in Washington, D.C., Jere and I will fly to Washington, D.C. We will reintroduce that bill because it had bipartisan support, and we're going to do everything we can do to pass that to fix this stuff right here that you're seeing. Not only with the BLM, but the Forest Service as well, because there's all kinds of problems in the Forest Service. Some good people in both agencies, but there's obviously some really, really lazy folks. So that will fix that, but we really kind of need to return to sanity if we don't turn into communist China before then. So, okay, please continue, sir.
Well, yeah, that's like I said, that's the most challenging part of the claims research these days. Anyway, is to determine if there's a claim in the area that you're looking to claim. And there is only two ways to get this information. One is from the county and one is from BLM. So it's kind of your choice whether you want to try to get BLM to answer their phone and give you the paperwork you're looking for. Because, in this instance, it'd be 3 or 4 claims at least. and the county, you end up, I haven't seen a county yet that'll give you the information by calling them and have them send it to you or anything. You actually have to go into county to get that information, with the rare exception of if a county has records online, like a bunch of counties in Arizona do. Those are really convenient because you just go online and you pull the records up and you have it in your hand right then and there.
So let's go back to the Stanislaus River and that section, and go back to that. Just go back one page to that map that you had up there, Jerry.
The master title
right
plat?
there. So section 32, that PLO 4329. So yesterday I spoke to the guy that filed the mining claim on the Stanislaus River, and he actually admitted to me on the phone. He's a really nice guy, and actually we had a very pleasant conversation, that he knew that because he pulled it up in the master title plat, and he had made the determination that was withdrawn, but he had heard from other folks that you could file a mining claim there, so he did anyway. And then he asked the BLM specifically, what's going on with this? Can I file a mining claim here? And they never would respond to him. But it brings up and it was kind of funny. I was talking to the guy, and, I said, look, they'll pretty much take your money. You can file on anything. I made a mistake and filed a mining claim about 15 years ago, and a portion of the claim was over a guy's private property. I didn't know it when I drew out the description, and I was down there mining. The guy came up to me and went, "What the hell are you doing on my property?" And I went, "Oh, wait." And I, it was really, I apologized and on and on. I actually gave him a case of strawberries, and I dropped the claim. I actually sent in a letter to the BLM and said, "Look, I want to let this claim go." But that brings up the point that the BLM will let you file on any ground, really, I think, that you could put a piece of paper to. And
Yep.
It was funny when I was talking to Stan yesterday on the phone. He said, what we ought to do is we ought to file a mining claim on the BLM office in Sacramento. And I went, you know what? Count me in. So we're going to file a mining claim on the BLM ground that the building sits on.
Oh, geez.
That's a great idea.
Right?
We got to film that too while we're at it. We got to film that.
My input was, I want to file a mining claim on Gavin Newsom's house.
Start digging in his front yard.
There's no laughing here. I'm serious.
No, it's a great idea.
I know. No, I get it. I totally get it, man.
So if you guys want, go to the AMRA page, and there's a donate button there. We need to raise a few $100 to raise some money so we can actually go and file these 2 mining claims. And I'm telling you guys, we will file those. So go make a donation tonight.
In fact,
anyway, and
I got a link here.
What happens?
I got a link here for everybody that doesn't know. Go and jump over to AmericanMiningRights.com. Make sure you show your support. I mean, there's big changes happening, but without your support, we can't make it happen. So the more support that gets thrown over to Shannon and Jerry's way, we're being able to establish things and fix things. It's not going to take a day, a week, a month. It's going to take time, but definitely go over there and show your support for sure.
Appreciate that. So moving on, Jerry, are you to the point where have you picked some ground that we want to file on, and you're going to fill out some paperwork for everybody to see and do the description? Well,
let's go to, this is the mapping database that I use. It's just, you can use anyone, but I find this CalTopo site pretty convenient.
Hey, click on show password.
Yeah, no.
Before we get into this, I just had another quick question. And I was trying to ask this question on the first part of the series. How do you guys, because you guys know the ins and outs of the situation and the topic at hand, with that being said, how do you guys personally feel about My Land Matters? And what is kind of, you know, and I know it's a touchy subject. A lot of people still use it. But that's one of those questions that I've been asked literally dozens and dozens of times.
We get asked that a lot.
And I absolutely have to bring it up just to clarify a couple of things. Shannon, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'll give you my personal opinion. Is I think that My Land Matters does a good job. I really truly think, and I don't even know the person that does that. We've tried to reach out to him and never got a response. The problem that you have is the quality of the information that he gets in order to put on his website. And if you're relying on the BLM, I think we've pretty much covered the quality of that you get from them. So, and you know, the BLM doesn't update things. I mean, I've had claims. I can't even tell you how many mining claims I've owned in my lifetime, but I only own a handful of mining claims now. And all of those other ones that I've had, I still see, and I don't use My Land Matters very much, but I still see some of those original mining claims that I had are still on My Land Matters as showing active, even though I let them go 8-9 years ago.
Right.
And so that's probably because he's really getting crappy, he or she, I don't know, is getting really crappy information from the BLM. So while it's a resource, I don't know that it's an extremely accurate resource.
Right. And Jere, how do you feel about that?
I would reiterate it. My Land Matters is actually a really powerful website that I've recently, in the last 6 months, I'm downloading the bulk data from the BLM on mining claims, and that's where My Land Matters, and there's a few others out there that do this claim mapping, but that's where they get this information from to do their maps. It's straight out of the metadata or whatever you call it that comes from BLM. And we've shown in one case right here today how poorly their information is. One place is a claim is, you know, and they should be marked as active, not. And I don't know. Actually, I don't know how the My Land Matters handled the change to MLRS, because when they changed from LR 2000 to MLRS, they changed the status from active to filed in thousands of claims. So how did My Land Matters handle that issue with the BLM's data? I don't know.
Right. And that wasn't just a couple. That was quite a freaking bit. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that these mapping, even the new MLRS mapping system, they don't report any smaller than quarter sections. So here's section 32. What does that mean? They when they report a claim, it takes up the entire quarter section. If it's a 20-acre claim, it shows up on their map as 160 acres.
Wow.
Do you understand what's going on? So, you know, this section may have one claim in it that's a 20-acre claim up in the corner. Well, on all these mapping, My Land Matters and the new MLRS and the old geocommunicator, even, that would show up as 160 acres with a claim in it. So you really can't you can't file claims based on those maps.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys explaining that. That's, like I said, that's one of those questions I'm sure, you know, a lot of folks have been trying to figure out. I mean, it is definitely a resource. But how far does it go as far as a 100% accurate resource? That is the problem that you establish when using My Land Matters. Now, if you use that in conjunction with whatever other research, then, you know, it could possibly be somewhat viable. But as far as using that alone by itself, you guys don't recommend it.
No.
Well, it's not that we don't recommend it. It's that I think, again, it comes down to one very specific thing, is he's using the information that he gets from the BLM, and it's the BLM's fault of their complete incompetence and just laziness.
Right.
Of being 7 years behind on data entry in California, over 7 years, is that the information that you're looking at on My Land Matters is only as good as the information he gets to load in there. It's called garbage in, garbage out in computer terms.
Right.
So if he's getting crappy information from the BLM, then how accurate is the information that he's going to be able to portray on his website? So in order to really, the only way to establish or to ensure that you're going to get accurate information is to get your paws on the actual documents from the BLM, in my opinion, or the county, because that's going to give you real-time stuff. And you'll be able to see in there if somebody filed a mining claim. You can actually go, okay, well, just take the red square that Jerry drew there in the northeast corner or the northwest corner of section 32. So you could go to BLM and pull all the claims in that particular area. Okay, you could find them on the MLRS. You could get the numbers. You could go in. You could actually fill out the little pieces of paper at the BLM desk and go, I want all of these claims. And then you could get those. And that's the only way that you're going to determine whether or not, what are the claims there? Are they still valid? And what is open of that 160 acres? How much of that land is open?
Right.
And My Land Matters, while I think if they got accurate information for BLM, we'd probably use them every single day.
Right. They'd be a great source.
You can't trust it because you can't trust the BLM.
Yeah.
So
I use My Land Matters as a get me started to see, if you've got a section that's got no claims in it whatsoever, it's a good place to start.
Right.
So it doesn't have any gold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before we get to the next section here, the one other thing that I see is popping up here. Have you guys heard about the Diggings website?
Yes.
I haven't personally heard about it.
It's very similar. It's a similar feel to My Land Matters. Yeah.
And so you guys have basically the same, opinion on that situation as My Land Matters, then, right?
They get their information from the BLM.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to clear that up for everybody watching right now. I've seen that in the questions, so hopefully that sums it up for you guys. Let's go ahead and move to the next section, Jerry.
Let's file a mining claim.
Let's get her done.
Well, the paperwork is actually pretty easy, with the exception of the legal description.
So, hang on. I don't mean to interrupt. Keep interrupting. Actually, you're
keep doing it. You keep me on track.
You're used to it, yeah.
You keep me on track.
We have to make sure everybody understands that where we're at in the process right now is we would have had Jerry do all this research, determined that the land is open for mineral entry, determined that there was very specific area of a section that is open, that there isn't an existing claim on there. We would have gone there and actually mined that and made a valuable mineral discovery. We would have put up a monument. Then we come back and we go, okay, Jerry, file the mining claim. So that's where we would be at right now.
Well, and the extra step with that, Shannon, would be if you really 100% don't know if that spot has been claimed, you would contact BLM, contact county, personally go in there, give them a call. I mean, it varies state by state, but they'd be able to give you any information that is on that piece of land, correct? I mean, I know it varies state by state, and sometimes they could be, one-sided, but as far as another option to be able to use, you could go to a BLM office.
Yes.
And that's okay. Just wanted to sum that up real quick.
We would have that's what we do when we file a mining claim. We go the extra mile.
Right.
I'm very fortunate because I have a Jere, and he is the master. He's our chief research officer, for crying out loud. He's named that and has that title for a reason, because I can pick up the phone and call Jere and go, dude, this portion of the Stanislaus in this section right here, see if there's anything there. It's like, I got, I know what we need to file that.
Sounds like Jere needs a raise. No.
Double.
From 0 to 0.
Double nothing is nothing.
By the way, guys, this is as far as AMRA goes, this is a voluntary thing. Is that, it's unfortunate that we don't have the ability to pay people like Jere and
Right.
really all of us. So we hope to get there at some point in AMRA's life, but we're not there yet. It's solely because of this stupid lawsuit out of Idaho, which we're not going to get into tonight. But anyway, that's really the reason behind that. But you can see is that this is a pretty complex process, and we're very fortunate to have somebody like Jere that, when he says, Shannon, I know that this section is open on the river where you want to file a mining claim, I know unequivocally that is open, because
Right.
he has gone that extra mile of pulling the documents at the BLM, either by phone, had them emailed to him or whatever,
Drive in,
or
whatever,
gone
yeah.
there
Yeah.
and physically pulled them, that there's no doubt at that time that it's open. Now, somebody could have filed something in the interim of when I had the conversation with Jere that he says, yes,
Right.
it's open, and by the time we go there, but the chances of that are almost nil. So anyway, so that takes us to this process. So we've gone down, we found some really, really good gold.
He's gonna whip it out again.
Got to pull it out again. Got to show it. So we found some really good gold, and now we want to file a mining claim.
Oh, he got the piece himself over there. Oh, look at
you-
that. Wow.
He's been high grading our mine.
It's pyrite. It's a really
I don't know
golden.
if I've seen that piece
Nothing
before.
but pyrite.
It's
All
pyrite.
That looks like Lode gold. Where did you get that, Jere?
This
That is
comes from a
gorgeous.
mine
Wow,
that
that's
we don't own. It begins with an M,
That is
wow.
but
that's
it's
from
Okay.
a very gorgeous place. That's for
it's
dang
not
sure.
it's not gold. It's pyrite.
Pyrite.
Okay, so let's file a mining claim.
Okay, so what I do is here's a little touch of both. I take this list that we generated earlier off the website, and I take it to a map, and I start mapping out once I have those documents in my hand, I can see where each individual claim is. So I take that and I just start putting it on a map. And let's say the first one is this big. So there's one. So then, okay. Now the next one, I'll map out the next claim that's in that section. And let's just say it takes up this area here. I'm just doing this really quick or whatever. Okay. So and now I can see, after I get all of them mapped out, I can see that this area over here is open. Well, we need a legal description of these areas. And let me go to...
Wow.
Yeah, you like that? That's real stuff there.
Good grief.
Absolutely gorgeous. Holy moly.
Okay, this is just a really kind of cheesy publication by the BLM. If you just do a Google search for filing claims on federal land, you're going to run into this little pamphlet, and it's really basic. It runs over the federal requirements for mining claims, but it's got it is useful. It'll help familiarize you with the process and give you some FLTMA, how FLTMA fault plays into it. But specifically, what I'm looking at here is their description of aliquot parts, or let me get down to it here. There's a load claim. For this night, I don't think we're going to talk much about how to file load claims. They're laid out much differently. But we are going to do placer, and this is, hopefully, let's zoom in a little. Hopefully you can see this halfway decent.
Yep.
So you have a section like we had up on the map. The sections are basically a mile square with little exception. Then they're divided into quarters. Well, this quarter right here is the northwest quarter, and they even have it labeled. This one here is the southwest, obviously. So here's a 20-acre claim up in the top right. So what we're looking at is, how do we describe that 20 acres in the top right of this? And if you follow this little line down, the legal description for this is east half of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter. So how does that work?
It goes from, and this is where I always screwed up, is, your brain wants to take you to the northeast quarter, and then that quarter, and then that half, but it's backwards. You start with the smallest and go to the largest, right?
Right.
Okay.
When I'm writing these out, I actually do it backwards. I write it out starting at the end instead of the beginning. So we're in section 20. I know my claim is in the northeast quarter, so I write down the. Can you see my? Yeah, I guess you can see it fairly.
Yeah, we can see your mouse.
Okay, so I write down the northeast quarter because it's in the northeast quarter. Then you look at the northeast quarter. Well, this quarter is the northeast quarter, so I write down the northeast quarter, and then the last item, and for a 20-acre claim is a half. So you got the east half, and here's a little 5-acre mill site claim as described by the south half.
That's
the
really,
southwest
really
quarter.
handy.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Holy crap.
You know what would be would help everybody in filing that is to screenshot that and print it.
Yeah.
And just have it sitting there with your
ready to use
or whatever it is.
Yeah. Let me get back to the. Where am I? Here. Yes. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this, not this. I want to get rid of this. And I want to public land survey system. I want this. And come on, work with me. Oh, did we freeze up? Oh, there it is. Anyway, it's not showing very good, is it? They used to. Let's see if I can get a different map, if that shows it better. Let's just go with I don't know what this is going to do. You see, they kind of got it gridded out here, and it's hard to say. Maybe this isn't the best description. They have the quarter sections, quarters actually mapped out here, but it's easier to see. And did I close that page that I was at? No, here, it's right here. Yeah. Anyway, I think you can get an idea. There's in fact, I think My Land Matters might break it down to quarters. So they'll actually call this one will be the northwest or the northwest. and they'll actually put that in the box as just a help for you. So that's how you would. So this red box here would be the. Let's see if I can do it backwards. This is this southeast of the Northwest. That's the legal description for that section there. Then I guess where are we going next?
So from what it looks like it'd be a little bit more difficult just to get 20 acres versus 40 is what I'm assuming. I mean, based off of, filing a 40 compared to a 20, you're going to have to do just a little bit more to be able to establish your corner markers and all that good stuff as far as filing, correct?
Well, your corner markers, you're going to end up with, if this is a 20-acre claim, you're going to end up with 4 corner markers. Here's a 20, right. Here's a 40-acre claim. 40. You got 4 corner markers. You can break down to 10-acre sections, but if you go anything less than 20 in this configuration, BLM starts to question there when they do get around to land
if they ever get around to it.
Yeah, they will start questioning those oddly shaped claims, because there's actually regulation that says you can't have thin and long, and there's a law or a policy based on some legal cases, the snowflake fraction rule that they use, and depending upon the office, some of them are more strict with those.
So my next
camera, Jerry, again.
Yeah, it's getting a little blurry there. My next question for you, Shannon. Let's say you yourself, you decide, hey, I want to go file just a 20-acre versus a 40-acre in your county or the area that you are well aware of. What would be the price? And I know it varies state by state, with a lot of different things added into the mix. But if you yourself, Shannon, say, hey, I want to go file a 20-acre claim versus a 40-acre, what would be the price difference?
Well, it's $212. So the last time I checked, Obama had changed that in 2012 to $165 per 20 acres. It sounds like that may have gone up a little bit. So if Jerry is saying it's 212, Jerry, your camera's still not working, bro.
Yeah, you probably have to do the hand magic once again.
So flip him off that screen. Yep. So anyway, so it's $212. The counties, depending on what their recording costs are, I can speak to Tuolumne County is about $15. So you've got $212 at the BLM, and you got $15 at the county recorder. So you're looking at $225. Now, whether or not you file a 40 or even 160 acre, the recording cost doesn't change at the county. Here in California, though, because of SB 1 that the Democrats passed, they add a $75 fee that most counties in the state are actually honoring on all real estate transactions. So now you're at $300, and that's whether or not it's a 20 acre or 160. So about $300. The problem with the California in particular with SB 1 is every time that you have to do your federally required paperwork on an annual basis, each year in the county. So if you go to Tuolumne County and let's pick Placer County, because I know that they still honor SB 1. So if you have to file your assessment in the county once a year, they're going to charge you $75 for that too, where it used to just be $15 or whatever it is to record that. And in some of the counties in California, they also assess property taxes. And I'm not sure about other states. I don't actually, Jerry, are there any other states that I don't think any of the ones that we're in have property taxes? I mean, I'm thinking New Mexico, Colorado, Idaho, Montana. Oregon, Washington. I don't know of any other states that charge property taxes. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. In Mariposa County here in California, it's 1%. And on a 20-acre mining claim, they're going to assess you about probably $15, $20. So now you're about $320 initially. You're not going to pay property taxes until really after the first year. So you're in at $300, and then to keep the claim active and valid, you either do a small miner's waiver, or you file or you pay for the maintenance fee, which is another $200 a year just to keep the claim. If you have 10 claims or less, you classify and qualify as what they call a small miner. And so you can file the small miner's waiver where you don't have to pay the $200 a year. You pay $10. Is it still $10, Jerry?
I believe everything went up to 15.
Okay, so $15 instead of, let's say that you had 4 mining claims. That's $800. You're paying $15 instead of $800 by doing the small miners waiver. And a lot of people don't like to do that because it's easy for them to just get online and just click and pay it. Well, I guess if you're made of money, then go do that. That's really easy. Most of us that actually own mining claims do the small miners waiver, and we work our claims. And so we can prove that we're working them, and that's the work assessment. And then we actually do the small miners waiver. So then after that first year, you're going to pay BLM $15 to process your paperwork. You're going to pay the county $15 to record it, and then probably $75 transaction fee for that county in California. That probably wouldn't apply to all of the other states. It's just that we live in tyrannical Chinafornia here.
That's right.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I love it.
Does that answer your question?
Most definitely.
And,
yes, indeed.
Did you have something to add, Jerry?
No, it's just the BLM fee that's $212 per 20 acres.
Yes.
So So if you have a bigger claim, it costs you more.
So
on the initial filing.
Right. So with that being said, 20 acre versus 40 acre, obviously you're going up a couple $100. So that would be the difference if you went from just wanting to do a 20 acre versus a 40 acre. So hopefully the folks that are watching, if you do decide to do a 20 acre versus a 40 acre, if you've kind of had questions, well, should I just do 40 instead of 20? That would be the price difference. So so with that being said, let's go ahead and continue, Jerry, with how to file a mining claim on the website.
Okay. You could, believe it or not, you can do it on the MLRS's. What's that?
We're still a bit blurry. Let's see if we got this back up here. Go ahead and pull the camera all the way with your hand over it and then back to get a good focus on her. Yeah, those Logi cameras are a bit tough to deal with. That's for sure. Looks like we got something going on there.
Come on, focus.
We're almost there. In the meantime, while he is working on that, I just wanted to reiterate something that we all said earlier before the broadcast. If you guys have any questions, hits, runs, errors, concerns, at the end of the podcast, we're going to answer every single question that you guys have when it comes to placer claims, when it comes to filing, anything like that. The two guys that you want to be able to answer any of those is these two guys on the podcast. So make sure if you guys have any important questions that you guys may have, make sure you hold on to those. And then at the end of the podcast, we're going to make sure to answer every single question that you guys may have. I've seen a lot of questions already come through. We try to kind of cycle through some of those questions until the end of the podcast. Some of those questions take quite an extensive answer, I guess you could say. So, don't think that we're not able to get to your question just yet. Once we get to the end of the podcast, we'll be able to answer all the questions you guys have. With that being said, it looks like Jere got it going. So we're going to go ahead and boot this up on his screen and go from there.
So before he starts on that, I got a question for you, bro. So I know you got the rock that I sent you. Where's Jere and I's prospecting buddy shirt?
That's right.
Well, we'd be wearing that right now.
Hey, I'll tell you what. You guys give me an address, and I will get you a sweatshirt. I'll get you either a zip up or I'll get you a pullover. You guys
I'll take the pullover. So will Jere. So I wear an extra large. Jere wears a child's extra small, and he likes the belly cut out of him and the sleeves, kind of like a halter top.
Well, I was gonna say I could do a tube top. That'll work just as well for him, right?
Come on,
Jere wears a large, and I'll take an extra large, and I'll shoot you my address, bro.
Yeah. Guys are rough.
If you guys want to send me your address, I'll get some gear sent your guys' way, and I think that'll solve it. Yeah, actually, you brought that up, so I gotta put it on camera. It blows my mind, absolutely blows my mind. I mean, I have it literally sitting right here next to my broadcasting studio, and I from time to time, if you watch the podcast, you can see my eyes kind of go this way, and that's because of me looking at that bad boy here. Let me get my ugly mug out of here and see if it'll do its due here. It's almost there.
Turn it a little bit so they can see the size of that thing.
Just an absolutely gorgeous.
If that thing was slabbed out and it's got gold like the piece that I just showed you, that rock's probably worth $3,000.
Absolutely, there it is. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, man, that's what I stare at every single podcast, and it's the funniest thing.
Pretty piece.
Absolutely gorgeous. And now there we go. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous piece. I mean, that's one of the things that we plan on doing this spring is coming up and seeing you guys, giving us all the time we can to show our support to AMRA. You guys do absolutely phenomenal work, and it's all on donation, and that's what blows my mind the most, is because in today's day and age, it's extremely hard to find the support on donation based, but you guys are making moves. You guys are doing things that are actually changing in a lot of different states, and I can't stress enough for all the miners and prospectors and weekend warriors and whatever you want to call yourself to support the heck out of you guys, because you guys are actually making things happen, not just saying it, doing it.
See, when we formed AMRA, and this is actually a little bit before Jere's time, is we didn't want to just base it solely on, hey, beg for donations kind of stuff. Because to be honest with you, I really, truly in my heart hate asking for donations. I just don't like to do it. It's just not in my nature. Right. So that's why we have 85 mining claims in 7 states, that somebody, they can donate $200 to AMRA. It's tax deductible. And then they get access to 85 kick-ass mining claims in 7 states. That's pretty cool. They get something tangible back. So that business model that we created, as opposed to just, oh, hey, trust us that we're doing something, that gives them something that they can go and do. And then, they can see the results of what we do because of the joining. So, I mean, good God, guys, a lot of these mining claims that we've got, some of them were my personal claims. Some of them are personal claims of other very, very well-known miners that don't want to be named. They don't want people to know that they're actually in their names. But every one of the mining claims that we have, the 85 plus mining claims in 7 states, are donated. The access is donated to AMRA, and we keep growing. So if anybody's got one they want to donate access to, reach out to us. We'd be interested. But so that's really how we fund. But to do the whole Gavin Newsom and file on the BLM thing, dude, just go donate $20 tonight, because I don't want to do that, and I promise you I will film it.
Yep.
I'll film it.
Well, and I just donated personally because you know, not only am I donating because I really want to see that happen, you know, donating to such a good cause. I mean, you see it all across the board. You know, it'd be one thing if you saw it here and there, but he's, you know, Shannon has been working his tail off for many, many years to get to the point at where he's at now. And, you know, having such a phenomenal person like Jere to be able to jump on this podcast and explain the ins and outs of the education that you guys really, really need. I mean, you know, there's so many different people in today's age more than ever that are going out prospecting, you know, and you know, they're finding good gold, and they're getting to a point where they want their own claim. And, you know, I'm not paying these guys. They're coming on the podcast and spending time that they have to be able to educate the mining community further, you know. And with what you touched on, Shannon, with your claims, I think that you understated just how well your claims are. I've seen all across Facebook, you know, in person, just how amazing your guys' claims are. So, you know, when you go and support AMRA, you're able to access those claims and find gold. It's not like, well, you know, this place has been dug out 1 billion times and let's take our chances. You guys are going to find some good gold. So, you know, with that being said, man, you have my full support, and you always will, Shannon. Thanks. That's for dang sure, brother.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Jere, let's file a mining claim.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's pretty much boiled down to just the paperwork now. And once you've done the research on the area and you understand the legal description, it's really not
I'm
very.
having a hard time reading the claim or the cameras.
Yeah, it's not wanting to work, is it? My goodness, try to pull it back just.
Hold your hand there for a minute, Jere, just for like 5 seconds, and let it focus on it.
Man, it's wanting to give up, isn't it? You might want to, yeah, there you go. And and then scoot it closer slowly but surely, and you should be able to get a good view on that. No, it's not wanting to work. My goodness. My goodness.
Sorry, folks. Crappy technology.
That's what it is. We got a comment here from Heavy Meadow Detective. He said, I visited 4 AMRA claims, all fun, and I got a free meal at one. Jeez Louise.
Free meal, huh?
A free meal?
Yeah, that must have been pretty bad of the bone. I mean, if I go to a claim and I'm working my tail off, I'm gonna want a free meal, Shannon. So
what's that look like to you?
That's looking a lot better, actually. It's still a bit blurry, but I think they have the general gist. Placer mining claim location notice, in parentheses, California. So I think we could run off of that.
Okay. I can see it. Anyway, on the second computer over here, I can see it.
Every time you jump and bump, that's when it goes bad.
Okay.
And now it's unreadable again.
I think if you go like this, Jere, just put your whole hand over the whole camera there, let it focus on your hand, and then pull it back nice and slow there. I think it should be able to zoom right back in there. Nope, it don't want to work. It doesn't want to work. we got another comment here. It says Jerry needs donations for a new camera.
It's Shannon's camera, though.
So make sure you send that donation to Shannon so he can get a new camera.
It is actually a piece of crap camera.
Oh, let's see here.
Jerry, why don't we do this? Are you on your laptop?
Yep.
Turn your laptop around and shoot that screen and see if, and we'll just pop you off for right now.
Oh.
See if your camera is going to pick it up.
On Connie's. Let's just curious. I don't know what that'll do, but no, I can't.
Jerry, the camera that is filming you,
It's
turn that
part
one on her screen.
On her screen?
Yes. Instead of filming you, just turn your laptop and see if it'll work better than the other camera. So we're going to have two shots here of your laptop, of the form, and we won't be able to see you.
Yeah, no, that can't do that.
Okay.
Because it's built into the computer, so.
Well, yeah, but you could just pick up your laptop and turn it to face her laptop. Yeah.
He says the heck with it. I'm going to give it a shot.
Like that.
Oh,
except for, yeah. And now I can't do anything on the computer either.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, then never mind.
With that being said, make
gave
sure you put a
everybody a really good
donation.
laugh about how stupid I was. There we go. And now your camera's a crappy.
Yeah, sure it is.
It's focusing in. It may have to do with lighting and everything else. Who knows?
Well, it's multiple different aspects. It boils down to multiple different things, but it is what it is. We're having some technical difficulties as far as the camera goes, guys.
Why don't we take a short break, Jaren, and maybe we can get that fixed.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll see if we are able to get her situated. Does that sound good? All right, Jerry. All right, Shannon. 5-minute break. Let's get her done, and we will have it fixed for the second part of the episode. See you guys in 5 minutes. All right, everybody, I think we got the situation handled. Welcome back to the second part of the series on how to file a mining claim with Shannon Poe and Jere Clements. Hopefully we were able to get situated everything that happened with the camera situation. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and send it over to Jere and go from there.
Okay, so like we were saying, this is basically boils down to just filling out the form work and getting it filed in the county and the BLM. So filling out the form is really not all that difficult. This form in front of you right now, and that you can't read, huh?
It's kind of a little blurry.
Kind of can almost see it. I
Yeah,
think what we'll do when we do this into a YouTube video,
there you go.
I'll actually put a document. There you go, Jere. That actually worked for a little while.
He just got to keep his hand right there.
Well, I would do that if it would stay.
I think it's the lighting, but
I played with the lighting as well, but
but you see the generic description. Once the fully edited video comes out, we'll make sure that all the forms, all the links, everything is provided to you right at your disposal. This is the live broadcast to let everybody know that we have, the first part and the second part done. Once the official first part and the second part comes out, you guys will be able to read everything in perfect writing and, go from A to Z on how to file a mining claim.
That's probably as good as it's going to get, Jere.
Okay. So this is the form that I use for California. The forms actually are more, there's no official BLM form, but there are some counties and states that require a certain form. So wherever you're filing, you kind of got to find out what people are using in your area. California isn't too picky. This form, I haven't run into a county that doesn't like this form. And this one's pretty common. If you search for forms, you're going to run into this one somewhere.
It looks good now.
Okay, I'm wondering. I'm trying to hold my hand here and seeing if it will stay in focus good. So basically, it's just a matter of going through the form and filling out the fields. First one is the name of the claim. Murad this is just a form I pulled up. It's an AMRA claim. This second item is the date of location. So we talked about that on the first session. And
the date of the location is not the day that you go to the county or that you file. It's the date that you actually make the valuable mineral discovery while you're on the claim, the potential claim, actively mining it. It's that when you discover the gold or whatever mineral.
That's correct. It's also the date that you hang the paperwork on the claim, and that doesn't have to be a filed copy. That's a copy of it before you even bring it to the county for filing. Okay, a description of your discovery monuments, whatever we typically use 4x4 wood posts. Then the next section is for placer claims, and it's the legal description, and this is the legal subdivision is called, or aliquot part description. That's what we talked about with the northeast. This is the northeast quarter and north half is how they describe it. So you just fill that in. In this instance, we'll use this. Say this is our claim, the 20-acre claim up here. Our legal description of that is east half, northeast quarter, northeast quarter. So we'll just put that in on the claim, on the aliquot part. What do we say? East half, east half, and it was the northeast, wasn't it? Northeast. Okay. This was, and it was section. What's the next thing here? We got
section.
We want the section. Section was section 20. Oops. Section 20. It was range was township 10 south, range 21 east. See if I can remember this. What do we say? I messed it already.
10 south.
10
south.
Range. What was the range, Shannon?
21 east.
21. Oops. And
the meridian is MDM, which stands for Mount Diablo.
Yep. Mount Diablo, meridian, 10 south, 21 east, section 20. And that's your legal description. That, that's as simple as it gets. You don't have to make a federal case out of it. Now, don't try. I see this on all kinds of location notices where people try to fill out this section as well. This is a placer claim, and it Lode claims you would have to fill out this section, and you would not fill out this section. This is in a area where there has been a public land survey. There's virtually nowhere in America where a survey has not been done. This form language was put in place before any of this stuff was done, so they described them differently. This is the only legal description you need to fill out for a placer claim. If you put it in here, you're going to confuse yourself and everybody else looking at it. 6B, the date you put up the monuments. It goes here. Most times that's going to be the same date as the location date. Doesn't have to be, but most times you end up doing that on the same day. Description of the corner monuments. You're going to attach a map. Placer mining claim is in Mariposa County. This one, this one is a 20-acre.
20,103. That's a big claim, Jerry.
Yeah. Now we didn't get into the files under PL 359. You'll see this designation on the master title plat, and if you're in an area that's designated as a PL 359, all that means is a power site reserve. It means that they had at some point in time planned on building a water or power project in the area, like building a dam, and originally you could not file claims in there, but this law, Public Law 359, allowed you to file claims in this area, with the caveat you can't start mining it for 90 days after you file it with BLM, because they have to check with the basically it's going to be a power company that has rights to the land, and if they say you're going to be in their way of their project, then they're going to take the claim from you. But I've never seen that done. So if you're in a PL 359, you can still file a mining
We've
claim.
had a couple of claims, and the one that pops into my mind is the one that we have on the McCalmany River. And I think it was Kinman's Legacy, was a PL 359. And if you don't hear back in 90 days, everything's good. And it's pretty much it. I don't think that and we've had probably 3 claims over the years with AMRA that were PL 359s. And I don't think we ever got any type of a notification. It's that they'll send you a notification if they deny you, but they won't send you anything if everything's good. And so if you don't hear back in, say, 100 days, then you're pretty much good to go.
Right. I've never seen one turned around, but I imagine if you're in an active area where they're building a dam, that might be a problem.
Well, and I got a piece of paperwork here. You know, I've obviously whited out a lot of the spots. But as far as the paperwork goes, Jerry and Shannon, where would you go about finding that paperwork to be able to paper file versus, you know, the other options? Where would you find that PDF, or is there a place you can find the PDF file?
You can Google search and just type in federal mining claim blank paperwork, probably in Google, and there will be a PDF there. Just print it. We do that all the time, and I don't know what website. I don't have my other.
There's a number of them that.
So my next question would be, once I pop this up here, you know, something like this, for instance, I've blacked out or whited out a lot of the goodies there. But that would be an example of a piece of paperwork that you would use, correct, as, you know, to go in paper file.
Well, that looks more like a FOIA request of what you would get back from the Biden administration on anything that you ask for. But yes, that's the one. They have those blanks at any BLM office. You can walk in and you can grab 5 of them and take them back and put them on your own copier or whatever, and then just keep a stack of them if you're going to file a bunch of claims. But that's pretty much it. Yes.
Yeah, that form looks like it looks very similar to both Idaho and Arizona's preferred forms. See, the thing is, BLM doesn't have any regulation on what form has to be used. All they do have regulation on what the form contains, like the location date, the legal description.
So you could put it on a napkin. You could put it on a napkin and bring it into them.
Yes.
So,
right.
And you know what, guys? That brings up another really, really important point here. If you're a federal agency, that your job, that you're getting billions of dollars, is to manage the mining claims in America, why would every state be different if it's a federal agency? It should be uniform. I mean, if you use that form here in California, it should be the same form that you use in Arizona or Montana or New Mexico. You see where I'm going with that? Or Alaska, for crying out loud. So, I mean,
I'll tell you where that came from, or where I believe it came from. Originally, you didn't have to file anything with BLM. BLM didn't even exist. And the official location for filing was the county. And every county was different. So now here comes BLM, and you're now required to file copies of your county filing with the BLM. So every county, you know, could conceivably have a different form that you're required to use. Although there's not too many counties that require a specific form either.
So can you see the date on this? It says
1946.
That's when
Yeah.
BLM was formed. Okay, that's almost 80 years ago. I think it's time to step up
Yeah.
to the plate and get on
Yeah.
board with freaking modern America.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
it's another BLM thing. Then I'm going to zoom past the locators, names and addresses here, but anyway, fill out your names and addresses of the locators and signatures, and that's your form.
blue
It's,
ink. And then,
blue
so
ink.
what map would you submit, Jerry?
I always draw my own.
We've dealt with some pretty crappy maps drawn on napkins before. You
Yeah.
and I have. And I mean, we're not exaggerating. Literally drawn on a napkin.
Yeah.
So the BLM isn't as crucial on the map that you submit. So there's basically 3 pieces of paper that you're going to submit: the first page, the second page, and then a map of basically the claim drawn out. Correct?
Right. Let me see if I can get to one of the maps that I done for that Murad claim. Okay, so this is just the map that I did for the Murad claim. That's as simple as it gets.
And that's a lot more complex
than they need to be, for sure.
Description, yeah. And what aliquot means? Aliquot is a part of something larger. That's what I believe the definition of aliquot means.
Right.
Jere
Pretty close. I think it might say something about a division as well.
But this one's different because on the Murad claim is you've got obviously part of the claim in section 1.
Correct.
And then it looks like part of the claim in section 36 or 38, whatever.
It's 36. You're right. Mm-hmm.
So that you're going to have 2 different lines on that description on page 1. That's
correct.
Okay. Just so everybody knows that. But
yeah, the definition, for that would be, excuse me, I put adequate. That's we know the definition of that. It says a portion of a larger whole, especially a sample taken for chemical analysis or other treatment. Divide a whole into aliquots, taken aliquots from a whole. That is the definition.
Right.
I paid attention in school that day, apparently.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah, I tried to, but I was too busy outside more than I was indoors.
Well, you were adequate.
Exactly. I was being very adequate. That's for damn sure. So yeah, guys, like Jerry said, the paperwork's out there. It's kind of a wishy-washy type of situation. Like Jerry said, though, as long as you have your information correct, when you go to file, you should be perfectly fine. Jerry, would you like to cover the specifics of the legality as far as what you do need if you go to file? Like Shannon just said, there was a time in their life where they filed with a napkin. What are the things you do need on that paperwork when you do go and file for it to be legal?
Well, that's why you get the something to copy. That's why you don't use a napkin. The things that are required on it is the name, obviously the name, the location, date, the legal description, the locators, names and addresses, and their signatures. That's pretty close to everything that's required on it.
Right. And, we obviously don't encourage you to use a napkin to go and file. That's obviously a bad idea, Shannon. But with that being said, there's plenty of resources out there on Google. If you have any questions, hits, runs, errors, concerns, obviously you could reach out to these guys. They'll steer you in the right path. Send them a message on Facebook. They're on plenty of other platforms or their own website, which we posted the link up earlier. Send them a message. They'll get you into the right spot, right where you need to be. These guys work overtime. So, with that being said, don't expect a reply within a day, within hours.
I take that back. We have on any one of the pages on our website, AmericanMiningRights.com, and this is something that we really pride ourselves with, Jaron, with the exception of the trip that I took to Papua New Guinea for a couple of weeks, and then one trip to Alaska. We pride ourselves in answering. If you click on contact us on any one of the pages on our website, that email comes to me. I'll answer that in under 24 hours. We've done that for 8 years, and we'll continue to do that. And the one thing I want to add to that is, guys, we offer that type of legal advice. If you got a question, send us an email. We'll answer you. If we can't answer it, we'll steer you in the direction of somebody that can. But about 98% of the time, we can answer it because it's, obviously what we deal with. So use this as a resource. It's why we formed AMRA, is because we were just like you. We were wanting to learn, and there really wasn't that many people out there that were willing to go public to teach everyone. So that's why we formed AMRA.
Well, and another thing that I wanted to touch on real quick with AMRA that I've noticed personally, obviously we have a good relationship, Shannon, but the folks that are just getting into prospecting and mining, or the folks that have more intricate questions, Shannon's the guy to get a hold of with all of those questions, hits, runs, errors, concerns, because he's probably dealt with that situation that you're probably dealing with right now. And he'll be able to steer you in the path, or more or less help you get to a situation where you are taken care of with whatever's going on. He'll give you advice and help you with whatever problem you have. So with that being said, it looks like Jerry has something popped up that looks extremely exciting. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to that screen. And Jerry, go ahead and take over, brother man.
Oh, I don't know how exciting it is, but I just want to encourage.
No, you got Idaho at the title. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I just want to encourage you. There is tons of information available online. Just go surfing around. I found this just surfing the other day, and it's a fairly good publication. It happens to come out of Idaho, BLM. But it goes through the whole process of filing a mining claim in an official government form. Go figure. And it has a lot of the same information. That, of course, it has everything that we went over, but it goes into aliquot parts a little bit here. There's your map. They want you to put your map on that, so you could just pencil in your claim on basically a piece of paper.
I'm sure you could probably print those out, the map, and bring it into a BLM office or whatever office is there in Idaho to be able to file your claim, right?
What's the link to that, Jerry?
Yeah, what's the link to that? If you want to send that link over, just whatever tab is up top there, send that over to me in the private chat, and we can get that posted up for the Idaho guy.
I downloaded the PDF, so I don't have the link anymore. Yeah, but I suspect I found it, so it can't be that hard to find. But it goes into how to fill out their form. It's really useful information, especially if it's.
In fact, I could probably
there's lots of information out there if you're looking for it.
I could probably
there you go.
It's let's see here. Yeah, I let's see. Bureau of Land Management, Idaho State Office. That would probably take me a second. Google. Yeah. You go to Google and you got so many different options, and I mean, it goes quite crazy. Shannon, if you want to take a couple of minutes to actually find that, what is that?
I don't see it.
What does that say up top there, Jerry?
This says Bureau of Land Management, Idaho State Office. This is Idaho Information Guide, locating mining claims.
So we got a comment here from Ray Schmidt, excuse me, that says, I found it by Google BLM Mining Handbook.
There you go.
That's absolutely awesome. While Shannon's looking for that, we got a couple of comments I'd love to.
What did he say that was?
This is the Idaho Information Guide, locating mining claims.
You got to turn your hearing aid up a little bit, Shannon. Just a little bit. We got a couple of comments
that
here.
Actually made my wife laugh downstairs.
Yeah, I think that goes for all of us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So we got a couple of comments here that's showing some love. I'd really like to bring up to you, Jerry, and you, Shannon. A Facebook user says, thank you for all the amazing info, guys. You guys are truly doing awesome stuff.
Thanks.
We have, let's see. So we got another one that says, I think I'll retire before I try staking a claim so I have some time. It really is a interesting process. Thankfully, I have some claims of my own to work. Love this series. Great job, guys.
I just sent you the link. It's in Facebook.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and pop it up. We got a few more comments. You know, the love and the support that is just shown, you know, when we do these series, when we take the time out of all of our days to be able to jump online and share knowledge. You know, when you see these comments come through, it really does push the importance of what we're doing. It really, really does at the end of the day, because there's a lot of folks out there that have so many different problems, questions, and they turn to either Google or, you know, this or that, and they come
Facebook.
up to, or Facebook, and they come up to a brick wall.
Yeah.
And so being able
the
to
wrong information.
Yeah,
exactly. And being able to, you know, have you guys on these series that we're doing is helping a lot of people, you know, whether they see it either tonight or the next day or even a week later. They're able to basically have so much more information to be able to get to where they need to be with mining, how to file a mining claim. We got one more comment here, and then we'll go ahead and go into the locating mining claims with the Idaho Information Guide. We got another comment here from Heavy Meadow Detective. He says, great info here tonight. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
One
thing that we didn't bring up earlier, we did last week, and that is Tom Kitcher's book that he's got, which is really comprehensive, and it's a hell of a lot better than this little PDF guide, is that one right there, Researching and Locating Mining Claims. Now, Tom wrote this book a number of years ago, but all of the information in there is really crucial. And good gosh, guys, I would strongly recommend everybody purchase this book. We heard that Sam is selling those up out of Armadillo Mining in Grants Pass, Oregon.
Yes.
And, anyway, you can find Sam. She's on, it's a simple search, you know, to get her phone number. And I know that those are being sold there, and I think that they're $25. Tom sent me a message the other day, and that's a really good book, and I urge you to get that book. And then coupled with this, that we're going to turn into a YouTube video, and it's obviously going to be edited because, good God, we're already into, 6 hours or whatever of this. This will be created into probably a couple of little parts. But then you can go to specifically that spot that Jerry went through that shows how to fill out the paperwork, how to do the MLRS and the master title plat research, and go through that process. And then we'll probably have a video that's just specifically for question and answers. So good gosh, guys, if you got any questions, now's the time to ask.
Yep. No.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd like to say anybody that has any questions, hits, runs, errors, concerns for Shannon, for Jere, for me, with the series that we have going on right now, now would be the time to go ahead and throw in your questions. With that being said, I did put the link to what Jere brought up on the screen there in the public comments. It's quite a bit, but if you copy paste, it's right there. It's kind of funky dunky, but it'll be a lot easier if you just copy and paste.
Yeah.
You copy it from the comment section on the comment that was posted, put it up into your browser. It'll bring you straight to the PDF for all the Idaho folks here. That way you can jump into that whole PDF, download it on your computer, go through every single page. At the end of the day, more knowledge, the better, especially if you're in Idaho. There's a lot of things going on right now. Shannon personally is dealing with a lot of stuff over in Idaho. So if you're able to, copy and paste that link, if you live in Idaho and you're looking at filing a claim and whatever else have you, that's a viable resource right there that goes straight directly from them to you. With that being said, we have some questions popping up here if you guys are ready for some Q&A.
Sure.
All right, so first and foremost, we have a comment here from Mr. DJ Anderson. He says, Jere, what is the map website you are using?
Yeah, that is. Let me get back to it. It is CalTopo. You can see it.
So do we got a link for that? We got a link for that?
CalTopo.com. I
Yeah.
love that website. CalTopo.com. And it's a lot. I don't mean to steal Jerry's thunder.
Oh, you're good.
I'm excited. He found it, he sent it to me, and then, oh my God, I just went crazy with it. What's cool about CalTopo is it's not Google. And so it's a big bonus there. But we actually created, what I like about this is that you can go in, we created a map that Jere and Don and I have access to, and that we're 3 mining partners. I went in and I put every single thing that I know about California and my hidden spots and my secret spots and my mining claims, and then even notes about big nuggets and things that I found. I put everything on that map. And it's cool because you can share that, but you don't have to share it publicly. So don't go looking for it. You ain't gonna find it.
Well, make my screen big.
Yank.
Not that one.
Oh.
Not that one. Not my face. That one.
Bam.
It's this one right here. Can you see this? The secret squirrel stuff. That's the map. Here, I'll give you
Dude, seriously?
There it is. Yeah, it's not enough detail for
now close it.
Yeah, let me go back. Let me just close this.
But it's really cool because you can also get, as you can see, aerial photograph, aerial imagery that is as good and almost as high a quality as Google Earth. And then you can change it to topo. You can change it to Forest Service maps. There's in the right-hand side there, you can see that there's all kinds of options that you can change in the drop-down menu right there.
Tons of them. Oh, yeah, tons.
Yeah, and
I like the Forest Service.
Really cool. So caltopo.com.
So we're going to bring that up one more time. Let's see here in the comments section. Bam. Go ahead and jump over there. That's another great tool that you guys can use. Make sure to jump over there and go check it out. I mean, if you guys got some spare time tomorrow, the next day, even over the weekend, go jump over there real quick. Click on some of those buttons, see what they got going on. I mean, for me looking at here, we got contours, map builder overlay. I mean, there's so many different options for you to be able to put on that map for you to do what you need to do with a placer claim. And I don't know if this website does other options. Personally, I haven't used this, but what I can see, spend some time on that website. You know, all the other links that we posted, spend some time on those as well, and take your time. You know, if you guys really are gung-ho on getting a placer claim established, everything that we have put in this second part of the series is viable information, factual information that's going to get you in the right spot. You know, we talked about My Land Matters. We talked about the diggings. We talked about so many different, you know, options that you can use, whether on the internet, paper filing. We've given you all those different tools to be able to use. So, you know, if you don't watch this tonight and you watch it tomorrow or a week from now, you know, make sure you use those options and those tools that you have at your disposal if you really are trying to file a placer claim. That is a massive thing that I want to iterate over and over and over.
You know, the thing about using these different websites and stuff is that the more you use them over time, you're going to become more familiar and you're going to learn all of these things. You guys got to remember, there was at one point in Jere's life, it was the first time he ever clicked on that website. And then he's kind of self-taught himself how to do all of this research. And so,
Oh yeah.
You know, if he can do it, you can do it.
Oh, the old LR2000 was when I stepped into it. That's what you used, and it was all trial and error.
Yeah.
Jere's the technological guru of technology, other than a webcam.
Exactly. I muddled through the webcam just like LR2000.
Pretty good welder, and he's actually a pretty decent miner too. So
that's good. That's good tools you need there, Shannon. Just keep them away from a webcam, and I think we'll be gravy. I think we'll be good to go.
So again, guys, on this whole thing is we're going to turn it into a YouTube video. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, you can imagine with this amount of hours of footage that we've got here, it's going to take a lot of editing, but to try to reduce that down into a usable size that, you know, nobody wants to watch a video for 4 hours and see how to file a mining claim. So we've got to try to knock that down into, you know, 15, 20
segments,
minutes,
right?
And then do addendums off of that to where, you know, we can go through the process. Here's the steps that you need to go through. In order to research it, here, go to this video, which teaches you how to research MTP and the MLRS system, and then this one. And we do actually have a video right now that we shot that is us going out, and we did it on some property up out of Coulterville, but we just basically went and mined it and put up a little rock monument and that kind of process. And then, so we can send you out to that video. And so while there's going to be one that covers all of this, then there's going to be these little individual videos that dissect the sections that are a part of that. So,
right.
Yeah, we hope that this is valuable information and that you guys really find some use out of it.
Right. And, you know, I got to add to that. You know, I do got to say, out of the comments that we've gotten, I mean, we're close to 200 and something comments with a lot of feedback with the second part of the series. The first part of the series was absolutely phenomenal, and the second part of the series was absolutely phenomenal. You know, so with the feedback that I've personally seen myself all over Facebook, all over YouTube, what you guys are doing is literally groundbreaking. You know, and the biggest thing that I can put my finger on is there's so many different videos and tutorials and this, that, and the other that's out there. And not to discredit any of them, I think if you have the guide to go to, quote unquote, that's explaining the legality of any of the questions, any of the problems that miners and prospectors, and weekend warriors. And I know the titles for some of them is kind of misstrued, but if you're able to go to the guy who can give you the full-blown fact of any question or any problem you have, I think that'll really steer you in the right path, right? So, we have a few other questions here that are pretty deep that I'd love to jump into since we're on the Q&A, if you guys are ready for those.
Yeah, can I just make one comment here?
Yeah.
There's several people out there that are as knowledgeable or even more knowledgeable than Jerry and I. And, a couple come to mind, obviously, Tom Kitcher, Kirby Jackson, who I think is probably the smartest freaking man I personally have ever known. The guy, literally, you could ask him a question about theoretical interplanetary physics, and he would do stuff that you would, like, Michio Kaku would fucking do. And
blow my brain
turn it
apart.
around and go, hey, dude, so how do I actually run this sluice? And he would be like, okay, this. And, the guy is just truly a remarkable person. The only difference between those guys and everything, because they all have the knowledge, and people like Ron Nielsen in Idaho, is we're actually going to do a video. And we're going to put that into layman's terms that anybody can click on and anybody could watch and anybody can understand. And I think that's really, you use kind of the word groundbreaking. That's really the groundbreaking aspect of it. It's not that we're superhuman or we're super smart. It's just that we have the knowledge and we're providing it to you in a format that actually, for the first time, because of modern technology, it's going to be very usable and very understandable. So let's get to the questions.
So we have quite a bit more questions here. First and foremost, we have one here, and I know this has already been explained, but I'd love to bring it up here. Facebook user says, what do you do, and not you, Shannon, in general, what do you do when you catch somebody red-handed trashing the place in the DNR BLM? Excuse me. When you catch somebody red-handed trashing the place, quote, in the DNR BLM, they're saying it's your problem.
Well, the first and foremost is the BLM most of the time they have absolutely no idea about legalities. Just because if somebody comes onto your mining claim and dumps a truckload of trash on your mining claim, are you responsible for that? Well, that, I guess theoretically it is your mining claim, but did you do it? And so the question really begs is, are you responsible for that? And the answer, I think that if you went to court, if you had a legitimate court and, even a jury of your peers, I think that they would say, well, no, they're not responsible for that. But then you can also make the argument, if somebody comes and dumps a load of trash on your lawn, are you responsible for it? Well, probably. They treat mining claims as real property, so
it's still unfortunate. Yeah, it's
really
still unfortunate. I think it would vary state by state. Once again, we don't want to get into the weeds about that situation, but I think it varies state by state with counties because you have a specific county that's all for that. They have had bills passed and yada, 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 and then versus another state that doesn't have those specific bills passed for, all the economics as far as all that, trash pickup, blah, blah, blah goes. I think it would vary state by state. And as a prospector or miner, you would get extremely frustrated and you'd have to pay the fee to get that taken care of. But I think, it's one of those catch-22s where are you going to leave it on your claim?
No.
Or are you going to pick it up and get it taken care of?
Right. We've had that happen. We have a particular claim that comes to mind, and I know Jerry knows exactly which one I'm talking about. That it's down at the end of a gnarly 4-wheel drive road. There's no houses, nobody for 10 miles. And We get trash dumps there a lot. We've taken truckload after truckload after truckload. You know, we don't call, it's administered by the Forest Service. We don't call them and ask them to clean it up, and they don't even come to us and ask us to clean it up. We just clean it up.
Right.
You know, we're dealing with that issue down at Ibar right now, where I mean, there's 40-foot trailer down there that they've ripped the sides out, and there's human waste, and there's a 30-foot freaking boat that's drugged down there, and trashed out vehicles and everything else. We're going to go in and clean that up. And it's just because, you know what? It's the right thing to freaking do. But as far as the BLM trying to say that, I think that the BLM would have a really, really difficult time trying to assess any penalty on you if somebody else dumped the crap on your claim, especially if you went, well, I don't like this, but I'm going to clean it up. Guys, it's America. This is what we do. I don't like seeing. The one thing that'll get you kicked out of AMRA faster than anything, and Jerry can attest to this, we see you throw a cigarette butt on the ground, we're going to give you a warning. If you do it again, you're gone. It's as simple as that. We have zero tolerance. So anyway.
Well, and with that being said, I don't want to talk too much about prospecting, buddy, but that's the same thing, man. Zero tolerance. I mean, we're in a day and age right now where, you know, zero tolerance is the standard. It's not something that, you know, you push into in, you know, 100% acceptance. It's a zero tolerance standard, you know, where we're not going to deal with the things that we don't have to deal with. And AMRA, you know, Shannon, Jerry, that's the same situation. We're in today's day and age where it's a zero tolerance. We're trying to move forward. And if we have such simplistic, you know, problems that it's just zero tolerance, you know, it takes 2 seconds for a person to not flick a cigarette butt on a piece of your guys' property. It doesn't take 10 minutes. It doesn't take a half hour it takes 2 seconds to realize, hey, no, I need to put this somewhere or take it with me when I leave the claim. Not, you know what, I'm going to, you know, because at the end of the day, it's nothing but disrespect. And
we have a simple little motto that we put. It's actually on our bylaws. It's in our bylaws, but it's also on when you join AMRA, you have to sign on the dotted line that I agree to these terms and conditions. Right. And one of them is that you will leave the place cleaner when you leave than when you arrived.
Correct. 100%. And I wholeheartedly agree on that. I mean, you got to look at it this way, you know, compared to, you know, 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even early 90s compared to now, you know, even regardless of who's, you know, in the government, there's laws and rules and regulations out there more than ever for land management. I mean, there is laws out there for garbage and this, that, and the other. So, you know, at the end of the day, if let's say, quote unquote, they came out to check a certain piece of land, whether it be BLM or Forest Service or whatever it may be, the only person that stuff is going to land on, that garbage is going to land on, is not that person that came and enjoyed the claim for 6-7 hours. It's on you. It's on Jerry. It's on AMRA. You know, so by taking that little bit of time to make sure that place is cleaner than when you got there, makes a big difference. It pushes toward the fact of, you know, and I always bring this up, is the train. You know, the train is going a specific direction. And if that train isn't taken care of with whatever it needs to keep that train going, then obviously there's a problem. You know, and that boils back down to AMRA having a zero tolerance policy. You know, it's you know, most people look at it as something minute, but it's the thorn in the lion's foot that could cause potential problems further down the line.
You know, the ironic thing here is that while you were talking, I was just thinking is that, you know, the BLM would come in and they would give you all kinds of shit if somebody dumped a bag of trash on your claim. But if you found a bunch of old cans from the 1940s with your metal detector or some square nails, you're not allowed to actually clean that up because they consider
Yeah.
You know, we know a guy that actually got cited because he dug up a square nail and put it on a stump in his camp. They cited him under the Antiquities Act. got to dismiss, but that's not the point.
But that's
It's the absurdity of the whole BS kind of stuff. So
well,
anyway.
and that's what boils down to the zero tolerance. We don't have to, chew the fat on that. You guys know, everybody that's watching right now, you guys know, well and aware, and all the posts that I've seen on Facebook and YouTube and the videos, us miners and prospectors, we do more than enough than we should be doing. And we continue to do that day in and day out. It's not a question in our mind. We just naturally do those things. We naturally clean up. So with that being said, we have a few more questions here before we go ahead and end the broadcast. Let's see here. So we have this one from a Facebook user. He or she says, is there a mapping and claim locating program that has replaced LR2000? That is the MLRS. I can answer that myself. That is the MLRS. And once this podcast is finished, we'll have all the links for that. It's going to take a little bit of time to be able to get those podcasts or the broadcast, situated. We have a few more questions here. What entails keeping your claim current? And I could probably answer that. That's paying the fees, every single year. I'd imagine that would be paying your dues for keeping that claim current. Correct, Shannon?
Well, yeah, Jerry, why don't you cover the dates and the forms of what is required, including the first year with the NOI?
Yeah, so your first year you end up paying your location fees. That's all the fees that we were talking about. It's $212 or whatever for 20 acres. That gets you through your first year. Your first mining year, which the mining year runs from September 1st back to August 31st. So beginning the first August 31st after your filing, after you file, then you're due for your next year. So the due date for your annual filing is before September 1st. It's August.
There's
August
no
31st.
period there. If you miss it, when they say September 1st, if you turn that in on September 1st, you're late and you lose the claim, period. And I've never seen anybody be successful with getting that overturned on any kind of people. And we've probably seen 50 people try.
Yeah, so, no, never.
September 1st each year, make sure you have it in the day before.
Make
sure.
We could do it a month, 2 months.
Do it a month prior.
2 months, 3 months. You could do it way early.
In July. So that way, if you encounter a problem or you broke down on the way to the BLM office, then gee, many Christmas. Could you imagine if you've got a really super valuable claim and you're trying to get to the BLM office and all of a sudden you get swiped by a freaking dump truck? You're going to lose a claim.
Right.
So do it a month in advance. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't harm you. There's no penalty. There's no rule against it. Do it a month in advance. That way, if you encounter problems, and we've actually lost claims because of a specific county or something that we couldn't do things in, and or a state, and then we had to refile those, and that gets pretty costly. So,
yeah. Go for it, Jerry.
Yeah, so that gets you through your first year. You have to do your annual filing on like I say, before September 1st. That consists of either paying the fees again, which you can do. It's called your maintenance fees, or filing a small miners waiver. And that's we talked about that a little bit in the first section on that. But if you have 10 or fewer claims, you can file a small miners waiver, and they're actually free. If you file the small miners waiver, you must do an affidavit of labor as well. And that's got to, yes.
That's one of those things that I'd love to bring up too, because the folks that do have those claims, right now, where would you go about, or how would you go about filing that affidavit?
It works the same as when you file a claim. You fill out the form, you file it with county, you send it to BLM. So it's basically a promissory note saying you're going to do that you have done the required maintenance or labor on the claim during
For
the year.
that claim.
So
Right.
the
And
required labor, Jerry, define what that is as well.
yeah.
I believe it's $100 worth of labor, and it has to be. I've never seen them question anything you put on there. People like to put, "Oh, I removed trash from the claim." Well, that's actually not a approved expenditure as far as the labor affidavit is access maintenance. If you're clearing trails, that is, it improves the claim.
Right.
Or just simply mining it too.
Mining is probably the best
Yes.
labor expenditure you can do on a claim. And I typically just fill out the form very vague, either
Yeah.
mined on this day, this much value.
So I got to tell you guys this, because this is funny. I've never even told Jerry this. So I've got a claim, and I'm not going to name it, but this is back in the mid 2000s when you could get on the geo communicator and see what was filed and what wasn't, if it was active on and on. And I knew this area was really, really good. I went to the BLM and I actually pulled the claim of the valid claim that was there at the time. And the guy, when he did his work assessment, he put in there that I mined on this day in this portion of the claim, and I found 14 ounces of gold. And he actually put the amounts of the gold in anything. Well, anyway, the guy ended up letting the claim go. I picked it up, and you can imagine how valuable that information was. So just as a word of advice, I wouldn't put that in your work assessment. I would say, okay, hey, I mined on these 2 weeks straight, and I obtained valuable minerals or whatever, but don't put the amounts in. I mean, the guy damn near gave me a map and went, here, good gold. Which worked out well because we did find really good gold.
Right. Well, the next question I'd love to ask on that subject before we get to the last few questions here would be where would a person find that form? Would it be kind of another Google research kind of deal where?
Yeah, you can Google those.
Affidavit.
Mining claim assessment form. I bet you could Google that and it'll pop right up in a PDF somewhere.
Okay. And with that being said, once again, if you guys have any troubles with that, you can contact Shannon, Jerry. I'm sure that they'll spend 5-10 minutes, get that form for you, get it sent your way. I just want to make sure that we cover all the grounds with any of the forms, the affidavit. If we cover every single one of those, the person who already has a claim but doesn't know how to file for that, if we are able to cover that, I think we're covering all grounds across the board. With that being said, we do have another question here. I'm going to kind of have to fix. It says, what is the difference in the type of equipment you can use on claimed ground compared to open ground?
Well, it varies by state. Obviously in California, there's a ban on, there's a law that was passed, Senate Bill 637, that basically states that any mechanized or motorized equipment is considered a suction dredge, and therefore you need a permit from the California Water Board, who has agreed to issue permits but refuses to issue permits. And we're going on the 7th year now of that BS. But it's really not that much difference in all the other states, at least to my knowledge. I mean, you can go to Arizona and run a dry washer to prospect a claim. When you get into heavy equipment, I'm going to say a large Bobcat style or something of that nature, then you're talking about notice of intent or plans of operations. But
right.
In order to really get into that type of prospecting, you're talking about actual mining at that point, and you really need to have the claim. So prospecting is pretty much prospecting. I mean, does it include a dredge? It can, if you're in Alaska or
Very state by state,
or
right.
in someplace like that. How are you going to know if it's a really good claim in Idaho unless you're underwater and you take it all the way down to bedrock?
Right.
So,
right.
It really, you have to check with the states, because there's been such a political shift over the last really 15 years that some of these states, especially California, Oregon, Washington, is always trying to ban everything. So is California. California successfully did that. You really have to kind of check with the state and make sure that you're not going to do something that requires a special permit. Colorado comes to mind. They allow dredging and stuff like that, but then they have restrictions on sizes and things of that nature as well. I mean, good God, you look at New Mexico as a limit on a 3-inch dredge. You don't even have fish there, So it just confound. It doesn't follow any science. It follows somebody's political agenda or
opinion,
belief of why they do that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
Boils it down to an opinion.
Yeah,
this is my opinion, and this is what's going to pass or not pass, and there you go. And then we get stuck with that decision.
Yeah, and it's really getting to the point where that these totalitarians, and that's really what they are in politics, they just want you to sit down and shut up. Just do as we tell you.
Pay your fees, but sit down and shut up. Yeah. We have a couple more here, and then we will end the broadcast tonight for all the folks watching. Let's see. Christy says, have you used LiDAR to find old mines? How much do you rely on old history on abandoned mines? So before you guys go ahead and chime in on this, I'm going to push Shannon and Jere on Lode claims really hard to get a third part out. I think everybody is like screaming at the rooftops for a third part of this series. Originally, we planned on a 1 and a 2-part series, but I think if I can con Shannon and Jere into a third part of the series, I think we could get that question answered. So with that being said, Christy, we're going to go ahead and jump to the next question.
No, I think it would be good to talk about this. I've never used LiDAR personally. We use a lot of aerial photographs, including historical aerial photographs. They're the best. I mean, I'll give you an example. Is in many locations here in the South Mother Lode of California, we've had some pretty epic fires. So I start out, if I've got an area, let's say that it's Angels Camp, that I know that there's a whole lot of lode mines. I know the history. Obviously, I've shown you guys gold that's coming out of Angels Camp tonight. Is find out when a fire swept through there and just erased everything and turned it into a moonscape. And then do some research and see. And you may have to go to the county. County is a really good resource to get information from, as well as the Forest Service, as well as BLM. They have aerial photographs of stuff that go back to really the 1940s. So we obtained a map just recently, within the last couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, of a fire had swept through a certain area, and I'm not going to identify where, we were able to get an aerial photograph from the Forest Service that everything was gone. All the trees, all the brush, everything was gone. And you could see these old roads that led right to a mine. That's an RS 2477 road, and it can be reopened really easily under the federal law, under the mining grant. And so it also, it just shows you anywhere that there was mining activity. We saw tailing piles. Tailing piles are almost always indicative of a tunnel site or a stope or an adit or, something. And so we use that probably more than anything is old aerial photographs. Jere and I are both kind of history buffs. we've got a small library up at the shop, including these old, they're called mineral surveys. What are the geological mineral surveys, Jerry, is the little yellow books?
The USGS put out these,
book. But they're really hard to find. And on the back flap of those books is a map. And if you can find one, like we've got some from the 30s, the 40s, and even the 50s, we've got several of them. I think that they're so valuable, I keep them in my giant safe. But if you open that map up, they're huge. They're like 4 feet by 4 feet, and it shows you every single one of the mines in that county. And then you can, and they give a number to it. You go to the number in the book, it'll tell you precisely where the gold was inside the shaft, how rich it was. It tells you everything that you want in the Lode miner. They are phenomenal books, but they're really, really hard to find. Anytime I find one, I just buy it, because you know what? You're never going to see one again.
Right.
But so getting back to this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, I just want to give people my input on lode mining and placer mining. Now, for most of my life, I did placer mining, and as most everybody knows, I love dredging. I have a couple of big dredges. I really like dredging. It's just a whole nother world when you're underwater and there's fish swimming around you, and you know you're seeing gold and you're just sucking it up, and you know, and it's unbelievable feeling when you're averaging a couple of ounces a day. It's really remarkable. But because of the regulatory aspect of everything and the direction that that's going, is it's making it more and more difficult to actually make a living dredging. And not to mention the fact now I'm obviously being sued by a radical environmental group in Idaho for dredging on our valid mining claim with a valid state permit, claiming that I ruined their fishing spots, which is absurd. But the problem being is that, you know, that's extremely costly. Lode mining is different, and it's a whole different ball game. It's extremely dangerous, and I want to make sure everybody understands that. Is exploring old mines is really freaking dangerous. You can get killed real easy by rocks falling on you or from bad air.
Right.
And not to mention the fact that, hell, we went into a mine a couple of years ago, and I'm so freaked out I don't even want to go in there because there's freaking ghosts in there talking to you. You think I'm kidding? I ain't kidding.
Bring me in there.
He's not kidding. He won't go back in it.
I'm all
we
for
call
it.
it the ghost mine.
Tommy knockers. Let's do it. Tommy knockers.
But the way that we found that mine was a giant fire swept through there, and Don, our buddy Don, was hiking a ridge and looked across the mountain, and he and I both had been everywhere on that mountain for 15 years and never knew this mine exists until everything got burnt. He looked across there a quarter of a mile away and saw a tailing pile and went, hell, there's got to be something there. We went there, and sure enough, there's a tunnel that goes into the mountainside 3/4 of a mile.
Wow.
And I mean, tracks and big equipment and no roads to it. And anyway, so, but the lode mining aspect, guys, if you find a rich mine, you can make a whole lot of money. I mean, you can make a life-changing discovery on a deposit. And that's really what, you know, we have the luxury of going over to this mine in Angels Camp called the Screamer Mine. That, guys, that's a life-changing experience for the owner of that mine. It's extremely rich. The stuff runs, 65 ounces per ton in the high grade. And there's going to be pockets, I'm sure, that he's going to find that are going to be in the pounds. And so it's a different world. And there's a whole lot of other different aspects to learning that if you're going to be a lode miner, you need to be a welder, a fabricator, an engineer. You need to be a hiker, a hunter, a defender. You need to understand bad air, good air. You need to understand everything that there is to know about the geology of the hillside and the mountain, hanging walls, foot walls, how to blow stuff up legally. And, just all this stuff is really, really complex. And it's a whole different world. And then you need an entirely different type of equipment in order to do that, because you're taking raw rock out of Mother Earth and trying to turn it into powder. And
Right.
it takes big equipment that is going to take a hell of a beating in order to do that. And the further that you go underground, you're going to start encountering what's called sulfides that locks up fine gold. And I mean, you could crush the crap out of this stuff into the consistency of flour, pan it up, and you might not see any gold, dump it out on the ground, and that pan could have contained 1/4 ounce gold, but it gets locked up in sulfide. So then you got to use chemicals or heating and, you know, all these different processes in order to get the gold. And it's a tough one.
With that,
finding a Lode claim is easy. It's getting the gold from that Lode mine that's the challenging portion.
With that being said, Shannon, Mr. Shannon Poe, can we and Jere Clements, can we look forward to a third episode on Lode claims?
Yes.
That is an absolutely massive topic to jump into, but I'm seeing comments here that is literally flooding through.
So ask them, Jaren. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yep.
Have them comment of what they want us to cover. Have them set the format, and we'll do it that way. What do they want to know about Lode mining?
Definitely. No, I will make sure that is extremely covered. We have a few more comments and 2 more questions that I'd like to go through with you guys before we jump off of here. This is one that's kind of, I mean, I guess is different. We're going to go to a comment and then a question, and we'll go from there. Back to the cigarette butts. Facebook user says, I make 2 piles of cigarette butts throughout my mining day. 1 pile by where I dig and 1 near where I sluice, and all are picked up before I leave.
Okay.
Wowzers. Holy moly. All right. The question at hand is, has a miner ever hired a biologist to counter current regulations?
You know, that's a good question. And it's kind of a bitter irony, because we are fighting this lawsuit out of Idaho, and we hired a professional biologist, actually as an expert witness, to provide testimony that suction dredging creates fish habitat. And to be honest with you guys, and I kid you not, I literally met with Stacy. She's our operations manager. It cost us $18,000 to hire this expert witness.
Jesus.
And we're trying to pay for that. Anyway, it's a struggle. But so the answer to the question is yes. We have, and we actually know of another biologist. He's kind of dropped off the radar for a while, but there's very, very few of them out there that weren't, I'd hate to use the word indoctrinated really into an ideology, because they're supposed to be objective when they're, you know, dealing with science. You'll find several of them that work for radical environmental groups that give expert testimony on behalf of the radical environmental group, saying that, of course, we kill little children or whatever it is. But then there are 1 or 2 of them out there that actually do understand what the process is, have studied it, have gone and actually been on a dredge and things like that. That's who we hired. Right. And so it's a very long, complex situation. Is that, you know, you could get into the courts and how they're so lopsided onto one side that you could put God himself on the stand and say, this is the truth. And
Right.
they would go, well, I don't believe it. And so, I mean, yes, we have hired a biologist. We do know of one, and we're trying to pay her for the outstanding job that she did. But the thing is really, you know, without beating this horse too hard, is that the political landscape, in my opinion, is changing. It is shifting back to the right. and this typically goes like this in about 40-year cycles, we're really coming into a conservative movement. I mean,
right.
Look at all the Let's Go Brandon stuff that you see. Look at the truckers in Canada. Now they're organizing one here in California. They're organizing one to go to Washington, D.C. All across the world that you're seeing this stuff is because that's really what we need. Is we need a transition back to just some common sense, basic kind of stuff.
Right.
And then maybe we won't encounter, or we can actually go back and reverse some of these incredibly invasive policies that have been jammed down our throats. And until we get to that point, I think it's rather futile. And I don't want to say futile. It's difficult.
Extremely.
Biologists and stuff like that really to try to achieve a goal. We had no choice. We had to, because this is about defense. So anyway.
No, I totally agree with you there. We have a few more comments here. We got another one from another Facebook user. Says, I sure hope they do one more show on Lode. So hopefully that solidifies.
And you know what? They spelled Lode right too. So
so hopefully that solidifies something for next Thursday. We got a few more comments here. I'll go in the ghost mine with you, Jaren.
I'm telling you, man.
We'll see about that.
There's really, really weird stuff in that mine. And I mentioned this. I don't know if I did this last week, but we were in a quarter of a mile underground, and there's no exit out of this. It's a dead end. There's
one way, one out.
Dead ends and two ends. And you're walking in there, and you meet this literally a wall of mist, like a sheet. It's like sheetrock. I mean, you literally could put your head into it and pull it back, and it was just I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
You hear rock picking on the wall. I can kind of hear and if you watch the video, you can see I'm asking Kathy, did you hear that? Because I thought I heard somebody talking. And then when we replayed, because it's all digitally recorded, you hear the voices, and it freaks them out of me, man. I didn't believe in any of that crap. And, my wife would watch those
now you do
on TV. That crap's real, man. I'm telling you. There was nobody in there. There hadn't been anybody in there in 40 years. There's ghosts in that mine.
That's awesome. We got a few more comments here. One from Idaho Gold Dredger. Yes. He says, need air monitor for sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's see here. We got one more here, and then we're going to go ahead and cut from Mr. Fred Messimer. He says, right, I'm down. So with that being said, we can establish that we have something coming for everybody on the podcast and the series for maybe next Thursday, maybe a Thursday after that. We'll get it situated. But with that being said,
do a quick poll here, though, because he just bragged about holding up that rock that we sent him from the streamer mine. So how many of you guys want to see him bring that piece that he has down here to our shop later this year, and we cut that sucker in half, and he shows you what's inside? So let's do a poll. How many people want to see what's inside that rock? Because I do.
Look at this bad boy.
Let's cut that sucker in half.
Look at that. Holy moly. Let's see here. I'm in. Cut the rock. Do it.
There you go, bro.
Cut the rock. Do it. Mr. Rob says, I do. Christy, I do. Fred, absolutely. Looks like I'm bringing it down there. Hey,
blow your mind, man. You think it looks pretty now? Just wait.
Hey, now that I know you have a rock saw, I'm bringing everything I got down there. No, I'm just kidding. So with that being said, me, Shannon, and Jerry, we really appreciate all you guys jumping on here for the second part of the series. Very, very, very knowledgeable information. I hope you guys take something from this. whether you're, starting out up to the expert. There's so much information from the first part of the series into the second part of the series. And without these guys spending the time to come on this podcast and do what they do, it's extremely hard to be able to navigate all the information that is brought toward you with Google or any other browser that you use or any of the videos and stuff like that. So with that being said, I really appreciate you, Shannon. I appreciate you, Jere, answering all the different questions that come through, really going from start to finish with, how to file a mining claim. Personally, you guys have answered so many different situations, different questions. I know for a fact that a lot of the folks that have watched both the first part of the series and the second part of the series have been able to answer a lot of the problems that they're having or a lot of questions that they're having. And now they feel much more confident in what they're doing in their state. And the biggest thing is that I can really try to iterate over and over and over is if any of you guys have questions, hits, runs, errors, concerns, contact any one of these guys. They will steer you in the right direction as soon as they possibly can and get you to a point where you feel confident in any question or problem you have. With that being said, Jere, Shannon, do you guys have anything that you guys want to go ahead and say before we jump off the second part of the episode here?
Jere?
I got nothing. It's been
I
good.
would just say that if you guys want us to do a Lode segment, then send Jaren what you want us to cover.
Yep.
And we'll cover it. It's going to be off the cuff because we got a lot of things going on right now. So we're not going to prepare for filing a Lode claim or anything like that at this time. But
Right.
If you want us to come back and we do a segment on Lode mining and we'll give you as much information as we can, but send him what you want us to cover.
Yep.
Awesome. With that being said, without popping things up on the screen here, we got a few comments that says you guys saved many hours of Google searching. Really appreciate you guys. Quite an interesting show. Always great info. I can't wait to rewatch it. With that being said, Jere, Shannon, I appreciate you guys. Shannon, I'll see you soon. Make sure you go and support AMRA. Go over to the website. It's in the video.
Donate so we could file a mining claim on Gavin Newsom's freaking house.
That's right.
Support AMRA so
I
we
will
can get
film
that
it.
done. I will drive over to California and I will personally put the broadcast up. That's how serious we are about it. With that being said, I appreciate all of you guys jumping on this second part of the series. Shannon, you have a good night, brother man. Jere, you have a good night. And we will see you guys soon.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Take
See you
care.
guys.